Well, everybody, welcome on into the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live once again. We are now decorated according to Vio decorated a tree on my table. We have a background now of some sort. How is everybody doing? This is the most streamer I've seen, Mike. I know, right? I like some of the stuff though. You know, we've got a lot of books. The only thing we got our little fan art. This time I put it back on the right side. I stopped trolling the artist. We can look at the amazing what books are on the shelf. We got a lot of Parenti. We've got some G's on the governance of China, etc. The leaves are for fall. We'll probably be getting rid of that, but other than that, we have our fun little thing Vio decided to do for me. It'll adjust, I'm sure. I know Pierce sucks ass, but you missed him laughing at Nick's face for being a virgin later in the interview. Yes. Okay, that gets. What are we talking about today? Asmongold endorses Nick Fuentes, and Twitch is starting to acknowledge that Asmongold is botted the fuck. Now and the reason why I say that is because when you make a brand new account and then you start following, you follow Asmongold, it's like, you must have a phone verified number because there are so many bots and so many fake accounts watching Asmongold. They now require that every single one be a phone verified number. Now, does that mean the bots are going to be over? No, it's an extra expense for Asmongold is to buy the very expensive bots. And by the way, it's not dog whistling. There's no dog whistling happening anymore. There is no dog whistling anymore. Oh, we have the wrong screen. Oh, God. Eventually that's going to bite me in the ass. My exception. The Asmongoldian botting has become a scourge, but everything that I've been saying is being proven right. Like legitimately, and I say this, I'm sorry if it sounds annoying to you, but there is an interesting development in Texas. Jasmine Crockett, who you and I know is not really a leftist, kind of the faux progressive, has decided, in light of the fact that the congressional districts in Texas are getting horrendously fucked up, that her path to power, or at least notoriety, is running for Senate. And a bunch of people are freaking out because they like this Telrico guy. Now, the Telrico guy is, imagine Pete Buttigieg, but with less charisma and taking Sheldon Adelson's widow, Miriam Adelson's money. Okay? It's like, well, what are we doing here? And Jasmine Crockett is basically perceived to be left-wing, even though she's not. And the reason why I'm kind of curious about how her campaign is going to go is because she is pushing a message that is completely correct. She's pushing a message that is completely correct. And her message is basically, you don't need Republicans. And that's right. You don't need Republicans. Now, when you say Republicans, what does that mean? It means people that self-identify as Republican strongly. If you're talking about people that have voted Republican, well, obviously you're going to need some people that have voted Republican to vote for you in Texas. Obviously, who gives a shit? That's not something that is like surprising, right? But you don't need Republican endorsements. You don't need Republican support. And she's right, because Republicans and Democrats are unpopular. A Republican could say that in Pennsylvania, I don't need Democrats. And he would be right. He doesn't, because most people don't identify with either of the parties. And so if you are running as one of those parties, you don't need the people that self-identify strongly with the party to win. That's the thing that's funny, is she's actually correct. She's actually correct. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what the left has needed in this country. People that are just like, fuck the Republicans. More people say fuck the Republicans than any other group. Why aren't we running on that? And the answer is because the donors don't want you to. That's the answer. And when I say donors, I don't mean the grassroots donors. I don't mean people that are handing even a few $100s to candidates. I'm talking about billionaires. Billionaires don't want Democrats to run anti-Republican campaigns. Talarico made a buzz here when he was elected in Brazil because here Talarico means man who goes after married women. So scumbag. So basically his name means scumbag. That's awesome. Let me see if I can find the post that I'm talking about. I probably should scroll my likes because they're private now, huh? My choice is Talarico or Crockett. I am unhappy. Based on those choices, I would pick Crockett, but I'm not really a fan of Crockett. Like Talarico is just a slimy opportunist, you know what I mean? You know, centrist, whereas Crockett at least tries to pantomime as left-wing in some ways. They both suck. Has she called it a genocide, or she voted for ceasefire shit, right? She's doing like Israel's bad kind of shit, right? But not like Israel genocide shit. Or does she take AIPAC money? My friend who's a DSA member just launched their campaign for the 48th congressional district in what, Texas? Or, oh, I guess that would be California, because there's no state has 48 but California. Where is that? Where is the 48? I don't know all the districts in California. Oh, okay. Yeah. Is there a new district? Is there a new district? Is that district like blue now since the redistricting? Does anyone have do you have a scouting report on that?
People are going to.
God, she sucks so fucking much, dude. Democrats are so garbage, man. I think of Crockett as the ultimate K-hive. She postures. She's like the first K-hive candidate in the sense that postures her hate for Republicans, but her policies actually suck. So it's like, how are you going to be contentious and have dog shit status quo politics? It's crazy. God. Ugh.
Tired of us sending money to Israel.
I understand. I also that if people are going to vote as it relates to foreign affairs, which typically is not how people vote. People typically vote based on how are the gas prices treating me right now.
Chat, if your Twitch recap does not look like this, what are you even doing? What are you even doing? Mike from PA, Vio, and maybe Hassan if you have to. Okay, this is what your recap should look like. Okay, I'm sure this person has other faves of ours in their top 5, but they only showed me the top 3, which, you know, they're making a COD-like game in China. Oh God. Okay, chat. Let's finish this and then we'll talk about that. This nappy-headed hoe can't win. Talarico at least has a chance. Okay, so that's just you just did a misogynist, racist comment. Oh no. I wonder where this guy. I'm so offended, chat. The thing is, man, nobody is offended by your shit anymore. Like being a little racist online, that was offensive like 15, 20 years ago when people were like, well, surprise. But now it's just boring. You look like a 12-year-old. You look like a 12-year-old. Like no one is impressed and no one is perturbed. We just click one button and move on. Like, you know what I mean? This isn't the 90s anymore, right? Nobody's like, oh my God, somebody said the F slur. Oh my God, someone said the N word. Oh, somebody was a racist. Oh my God, I'm so surprised and shocked and chagrined and offended. My day is ruined. Nobody cares anymore, man. It just shows you're a scumbag. Like it's like shitting yourself. Nobody's like, oh my God, he shit himself. I'm going to feel terrible for the rest of the day. There's this gross guy who shit himself in front of everyone, and then that was it. That's what your Asmongoldian racism does. Nobody is offended. Nobody is affected. The fact that they made that reference means they're at least 35 years old. Yeah, that's the other thing that's funny. That's a Don Imus reference, chat. That's a Don Imus reference. If you don't know who Don Imus is, exactly, you're not 40 years old. Don Imus was like the shock jock before a real shock jock showed up. Basically, he's embarrassing. There's so many great left-wing campaigns that are starting. I need somebody to I need a spreadsheet of all. You know what we need to create, chat? We need to create a spreadsheet, all the candidates in the country running for Congress, it plausibly Democratic seats. And then we need a list of a bunch of left-wing policies, and we need to nail them all down. And so we could figure out who is are they a Democratic Socialist? If, do they support Medicare for all? Are they opposed to a war with Venezuela? Do they Are they against Israel and AIPAC money? Are they against corporate money? Do they support the filibuster? Except like all sorts of questions like that. We need to get a spreadsheet so we can figure out who to support and create a tier list of candidates. I think that would be an amazing project. I want to do that. I want to create some of that because I've realized that already exists, but it's internal to the DSA NEC. Hey, I really need to get involved. I need to get more involved with the NEC. I'm really slipping. I need to be more involved. And then I could use you guys to push my personal views. It'll be great. We literally just covered Talrico versus Crockett. Crockett is an awful person, but she's running a good message. You don't need Republican endorsements. I agree with that. That's exactly what I was saying. Oh, let's finish this video and then we'll keep going.
How are my housing costs treating me right now? What's my job situation looking like? Those are the things that typically drive our election and how people decide how they're going to. When you start talking about foreign affairs, if that is going to be kind of like the precipice for determining whether you vote or who you vote for, then I want people to really dig in, right? Like, and ask the question, which I think is a fair question. I think it's a fair question of all the money, is to ask the question of, well, why do we send money to Israel? Like, what is that about? And learn about the fact that this is an allyship that existed before I was around, before, well, no, the president was a baby. He was still around, though. But it is an enduring relationship and learning the history of the region in and of itself. And I would argue that the most disputed land in the world, and it goes beyond the Palestinians and the Israelis, but I mean, you can go back to the Romans. So one of the scariest things for me, if I'm being like 1,000, which my team will beat me up about this later, but if I'm being 1,000 about this, when you think about, and because of the conversations that
the only reason why there's disputed land in Palestine is because the United States is propping up Israel. If there is no United States propping up Israel, then there is no disputed land because Israel would not be able to do what it's doing. It would very rapidly have to come to an accommodation with the local indigenous population. And a lot of settlers would leave because they're only there because they want to have some sort of racist, white supremacist, Jewish supremacist ethno-state. And if you say it's not going to be an ethno-state, they would move back to whatever European or American locale they're actually from. And then the Israelis that will remain would be a minority, and they would have to come to a reasonable accommodation with the indigenous population, sort of like what happened in South Africa. And guess what? There wasn't grand revenge that was being exercised collectively because that's not what would happen. The oppressed, when they are free, don't do that shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not gonna happen. So basically what she's saying is, oh, it's so disputed, it's so complicated. The complication comes from U.S. money and support. So what's the complication? The
United States says we will throw away our 75.
We throw away our relationships all the time. We fucked over the Kurds. We left Vietnam. We left Afghanistan. We left Iraq. The United States left Beirut. The United States has abandoned right-wing dictators and fascists and groups all throughout history. There is a laundry list of countries that we have abandoned. We abandoned apartheid South Africa. And what's your fucking point? There are no permanent alliances. That's why they're called an alliance. If it's permanent, you're one polity. And America, and the moment you start talking like this, chat, is the moment an empire is falling. When you notice a lot, whenever major errors start creeping into, and what causes wars is when people start talking about face. They start talking about, well, you know, sure, you have all those logical arguments, but what would look bad? The moment that you no longer have an articulable reason for doing what you're doing in a war, the war should end.
Plus year relationship with Israel because we don't like their leader. Then if we end up with, we set a precedent for all these other allies to throw us away, because I have heard from other ally nations that they don't fucking like Trump, right? If we lose our allies, now I'm looking at the vulnerability of us, the people that elected me, and I am concerned about whether or not, like, we live in a bubble. You talk about bubbles, we live in a bubble. Because on both sides of us, we got water, And North and South, we got pretty decent friends, right? Like, we closer with the people up north than we are the people down south. But either way, we got friends on both sides, right? That don't mean that we are liked in this world. A lot of people hate us.
People do not hate. The world does not hate America. In fact, to my chagrin, the world loves America. The world, I mean, I could count on one hand. I've been so many places. The number of times where people are like, oh, you're American? Fuck America is like never. Maybe people will be like, what do you think of Bush? But I cannot remember a single time where I was, and I'm all over the world. It's just not true. Okay? It's not fucking true. What people hate is what America's government does, which for some reason they separate as different than what the American people support, which unfortunately it's not. And the moment somebody determines like, oh, the American people are responsible for their own government, Americans are like, what? Huh? That's not me. No, what? Huh? So we're not hated. We're not hated. In fact, what countries are really our big enemy? I mean, please tell me, what countries are our big enemy that despises us and wants to kill us? What countries hate us? Please explain. Name them. And their answer is there really isn't any country. Iran signed a fucking nuclear deal with us under Obama. North Korea is happy to de-escalate with us. The only difference is they don't want us to overthrow their government and invade their country and sanction them. That's not an enemy that hates us. That's us being aggressive against them. There is literally not one country that is an enemy of the United States. Really. Like, that is cold, hard logic. The enemies we have, we create. And the reason why we have no enemies is there's no one who's motivated to become our enemy. They're not. Venezuela doesn't want to be the U.S.'s enemy. We make them our enemy. If tomorrow they were like, okay, we'll buy your oil. We're lifting the sanctions. We're having trade again. Venezuela would not be like, time to use our newfound riches to invade the U.S. No. There is no country in the world that is legitimately a threat to the United States in the United States. You could say China is a threat. No, they're not. I mean, outside of what? Sending nukes and then getting nuked back? That's the biggest threat that faces America, is a global thermonuclear strategic counter value exchange, as it's called, where we all shoot hundreds of or thousands of nuclear missiles at each other for no fucking reason. That's the only real threat that you face. That's the only real military threat that is hanging over your head, is that we have a nuclear war. But as far as like actual threat, there is no threat. And just so you know, China has said they will never launch a nuke first. That is China's public doctrine. It's been their military doctrine since they developed their own nuclear weapons. They have always said we will never launch a nuke first. The United States, on the other hand, says we might launch a nuke first. That's our strategy. I wouldn't agree that the U.S. has no enemies. I would say a particular country is an enemy of the U.S., but there are people that definitely hate the U.S. and Americans for a very good reason. You're allowed to hate people. That's an opinion. That's not an enemy. Do you not understand what an enemy is? Do you not know what the word? It's not just person who I really don't like or who doesn't like me. An enemy is somebody who is working to harm you. The United States of America legitimately does not have any enemies that it has not generated for itself by our Truman Doctrine, which says we can invade and interfere with the domestic politics of any country we don't like. That's the Truman Doctrine. The Truman Doctrine is America determines whether or not we like your politics, and if we don't, we go in there and we interfere with your country. And liking your politics has to do with whether or not you give your resources to our corporations. As someone in Texas, I can tell you Talrico is only 10% better than Crockett. In what way is Talrico better than Crockett? Articulable.
But it's about being able to flex. Like, oh, do you want to play with us? Mm-hmm. It's like, think about like those people that used to go to your school and they had like the biggest family. They had all the brothers and sisters. If you decided you was going to fight one, you was going to have to fight the whole family. Right. So you like, forget that, I ain't finna do that, right? But like... I'm sorry, man. Like, I think this is embarrassing. If it's just one kid, we may go jump you, right?
Mike, would it shock you to hear that Edgermentum is celebrating? Isn't it Edgermentum's family Zion, like big Zionists? Isn't that why he got rid of his old account, City of Freaks? Isn't his aren't his parents like mega Zionists, like some of the biggest Zionists in the country? Were we supposed to forget that or something? Or am I misremembering? I mean, I know he's 23 years old. You know, maybe having the biggest Zionist as your influences might have you have some pretty bad takes. What option if there's not Crockett or Telrico? Oh yeah, no, well, first of all, people can announce. That's number one. Number two, I'm not saying there is another option. I'm just saying I'm not a big fan. Is he 23? Yes, I think he's 23. First of all, there's nothing wrong with being 23. But when you present yourself as like the politics knower and the only election you've ever seen is 2024 and 2022, maybe have a little bit more humility. I don't know. It's a little weird.
That's the difference. And so for a lot of us, it's history. It's also thinking through possibilities in the future. And those are the conversations that nobody really wants to have and talk about. It will set a certain precedent for allies.
Israel is not really an ally of the United States in the same way that, say, a NATO ally is. And by the way, I want you to understand this, chat. This is just nonsensical bullshit. If the United States said Israel sucks, we're done with Israel, they did a genocide, France is not going to be like, how dare you? I withdraw from NATO. I will not be in an alliance with the United States of America anymore. They'll be like, yeah, our people think they're genociders too. That would be the end of it. If tomorrow the United States was like, ew, Israel, all of Europe would be like, ew, Israel, immediately. That's just reality. Because guess what? Europeans agree with Americans that Israel is a genocidal freak state, and we all dislike it.
Potentially leaving us if we were to disagree and just be like, well, we don't like your leader. It's all about the relationship between the people and the countries. It's not about who their democracy elected. Because frankly, I have heard from a lot of leaders, and they were like, we thought y'all had lost y'all mind. And so once we got Joe Biden back, they were like, okay, y'all back on track. And now they like, what are y'all doing?
I'm not a Crockett fan. I've always disliked Crockett. I've always been an anti Crockett person. I always thought Crockett was a fraud. Like that's always been my take. Before we go back to talking about Asmongold and Nick Fuentes and all these guys, I just wanted to show you something else, chat. United States is completely cooked. We can't beat China. It's actually over. Yesterday we showed you the new what the fuck? You guys aren't supposed to be able to be moved. Why are you guys moved? Why did you guys move? You guys are supposed to be locked. Why are you moving? Stop moving. Xiaomi, we watched this video yesterday, but I have an even better video. It's not the China trade surplus. It's this video.
This video will explore the current and near future situation for the United States Navy following the cancellation of its latest warship, the Constellation-class frigate. The first chapters briefly cover the frigate's struggles, its importance, and the reasons for its cancellation, alongside a look at possible future
the thing that's okay, so if you don't know anything about naval procurement, and the answer is why would you? You're not a revolutionary like Mike. You don't study military doctrine. You don't understand logistics. You don't study military procurement. Why would you know anything about this? You're not a revolutionary. Okay, I'll do it for you. The reality is of the U.S. Navy, we have now canceled, I think it's four different ships recently that were supposed to be the cutting edge, surface ship technology. And so the United States Navy, after spending billions, is basically getting nothing. And what's so funny about the Constellation class is that the Italians designed it and they had a working ship, and we just bought it and said, we're going to buy those Italian frigates. We're going to license their design and build them. And we won't have to spend any money on procurement. We'll just do it, and then bam, we'll have frigates. Now, were the frigates perfect? No, they had some things. They weren't completely bleeding edge. They were like 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s, 100, 90 out of 100, or 89 out of 100, right? Compared to our current frigates, which are from fucking World War II. So what happened, though, is when it came to the United States, our corrupt military-industrial complex started doing change orders. And now it's only like 18% the same frigate. So now it's a quadrillion times more expensive. And the entire purpose of the program was we're going to buy a pre-built, designed ship and just build it. They couldn't even do that. The United States is cooked.
Placement options. The second half will offer a broader examination of the present and future state of the US Navy, analyzing trends in the fleet's numbers and availability and comparing it with its greatest...
Okay, by the way, chat, visual propaganda alert. Visual propaganda alert. Notice how the United States Navy is kind of hugging the Hawaiian coast and the Aleutians. And the Chinese Navy is all the way out by Guam. You know, it's out into the open Pacific. When in reality, the US Navy is over here. And the Chinese Navy is like here. Like right hugging the fucking Chinese coast. The US Navy is here blocking what they call the first island chain. And then there's something called the second island chain. You see these? So there's like two concentric rings that are trying to box in China. So the Chinese Navy being all the way out here in the open Pacific, this would be fair. The United States doesn't allow this shit.
Adversary, the Chinese Navy. Just a little heads up. Binkov made a 2026 wall calendar with some sexy Constellation class and US shipbuilding woes.
I don't care about your calendar.
We covered the Constellation class and US shipbuilding woes in a 2024 video that is essential viewing, so we don't want to repeat ourselves too much here. Go check it out. After years of deliberation over the unsuccessful littoral combat ship classes, in 2020 the Navy decided
it's not the literal combat, it's littoral combat ship, which is a special ship that was a previously canceled ship that they wasted billions on.
Procure and adapt a ready foreign design for US Navy use. 5 years later, the lead ship was only 12% complete.
Incantari Marionetta Marina.
Just before the cancellation. 9 months earlier, it was at 10%. That painfully slow pace had multiple reasons. Over time, the US Navy demanded changes that reduced the original 85% commonality with the foreign design to just 15%. This suggests the Navy lacked qualified personnel to anticipate the impact of their changes, and the builder lacked the experience to provide constructive feedback and construct ships larger than the LCS class. The Constellation design grew in length, displacement, and received a new superstructure. But the most problematic change was the requirement to meet specific US Navy damage stability, shock, and survivability standards, designed to ensure compartmentalization, keeping a damaged ship afloat. While sensible, these changes were not wise to do with an already designed ship, adding over $1 billion in expenses and several years of delays. In February 2025,
frigate? It's a frigate! That's... How do I explain this? This is like, a frigate is basically the smallest warship. They're tiny. $1 billion fucking dollars. That's incredible.
US Navy Chief Acquisition Officer Nicholas Guertin said this, quote, "Sometimes you are better off designing a new ship, and it turns out modifying someone else's design is a lot harder than it seems," end quote. The redesign efforts led to performance issues, including weight growth that could not be fully rectified, prompting the Navy to consider reducing the ship's top speed requirement. The program collapsed and cancellation was announced on November 25th. The Navy had paid for 6 frigates, but only the first 2, which are partially constructed, will be finished. Binkov speculates that these 2 hulls will not be frontline warships, but will likely serve for patrol, testing, or training, as paying for complex warfighting systems integration for just 2 orphan hulls seems unwise. A key reason for completing these 2 hulls is to retain the builder's workforce and expertise. The shipyard openly stated that, quote, "Maintaining this ship..."
So by the way, chat, this is going to make these ships even more expensive. So the United States is going to have non-capable, non-operational ships that are way more expensive. Meanwhile, China is going to be pumping shit out. The United States of America is completely and utterly cooked. We completely destroyed the United States Navy's procurement. We outsourced everything, and now we can't do anything. Because guess what? Companies lie, and they get contracts, and then they bloat them up for profit. Capitalism can't do anything correct. When the United States was facing an existential threat, you know what we didn't do? Competitive bids, outsourcing. We built the largest bureaucracy in history. We put the entire American economy under the control of the government, and we pumped out resources at an unprecedented scale. They did a command economy. That's what beat the Nazis. That's what beat Imperial Japan. Now the United States has the religion of the market, of neoliberalism. And they cannot do anything. They cannot do anything. They can't even build the smallest warship. They're fucked using somebody else's design. They can't even say, give me, like, you know how they say China just copies the US? You know, they're not guys, they're not iterating. They're just copying. We couldn't copy an Italian frigate design and pull it off. We are fucked. And you know what? Good. Socialism will win. It's finally over.
And its skilled workforce is imperative to the Navy's long-term industrial base. The Navy is reportedly allowing the builder, Fincantieri Marinette, to keep billions of dollars appropriated for the remaining 4 hulls, so it can now switch to other shipbuilding programs. A statement from Fincantieri...
They're just stealing the money and we're not even getting the ship! Thanks for the billions! Thanks for the billions of dollars! Friendly reminder, chat, that the largest, tallest bridge in the world that was just opened in China between massive mountains cost $600 million. In case you want to understand how much the United States is getting fucking owned.
Thierry suggests as much. Quote, "We believe the Navy will honor the agreed framework and channel work in sectors such as amphibious, icebreaking, and special mission ships into our shipyards, while they determine how we can support the Navy with new types of small surface combatants, both manned and unmanned, that they want to rapidly field." And here we come to another reason for the cancellation. Beyond the delays, extra cost, and compromised performance, all resulting from the combination of not-so-capable Navy and shipbuilder officials and engineers, in the 10 years since the Navy realized it wants something else other than LCS ships, its strategic needs changed. And the reason for that can be summed up in one word: China. Its military buildup has occurred at such speed in both quantity and quality that the US Navy determined the Constellation class itself was no longer suitable. The frigate was originally intended to be relatively cheap to build and operate, used for less demanding secondary missions such as patrol, anti-piracy, and importantly, ocean escort of logistics and amphibious assault ships. Escorting ships behind the front line means enemy submarines are the main threat, so anti-submarine capabilities were put at the forefront of the Constellation design. It also retained a decent anti-air capability, likely for self-defense from missiles, when used as part of a larger frontline combat fleet. The US Navy is now focused on new requirements. Secretary of the Navy John Fallon said, "We are reshaping how the Navy builds its fleet.
Jessica.
Navy is walking away from the Constellation frigate to focus on new classes of warships the service can build faster." An unnamed official told a defense news outlet that a key factor in determination was the need to grow the fleet faster to meet future threats, and that canceling the program enables the Navy to more rapidly build new ship classes in greater numbers and deliver better capabilities.
Guys, by showing we can't build this frigate, that actually means we're going to be able to build even more ships in the future.
This new sense of urgency was foreshadowed by Secretary of Defense Hegseth in November, who stated, "The sense of urgency has slipped too much. When you look at what we face, we have to recapture it." The replacement for the Constellation class has not been disclosed, but Binkov speculates unmanned ships will be a key part of the solution. This past summer, the Navy announced formal requirements for the Modular Attack Surface Craft program after a lengthy development. 3 ship types are needed. A key requirement is speed of construction, with first deliveries expected just 18 months from the prototype award, which is crazy fast for a new Navy ship. The Navy emphasized readiness, remote operation, open architecture, and non-exquisite designs so a wide array of shipyards can handle repair and maintenance. That addresses the current problem of limited shipyard capacity, creating big backlogs of ships requiring maintenance. All 3 types will carry containerized payloads, for example for Tomahawk.
I can literally tell you why I work at Fincantieri Marionette Marine. Oh, hey, what's up? I work as an engineer here at FMM. Want to hear the reason why it's so fucked up? Yeah, go ahead. Why is it so fucked up? Can I ask you a question? Why did the United States Navy not do what they originally planned on doing, which was just literally building the ship the Italians developed? I don't want you to get in trouble, chatter. Like, why not just build the ship the Italians developed? It doesn't make sense that you say, oh, we're going to build this ship, and then you change it completely. We tried to fit a destroyer's worth of shit in a frigate frame. Okay, so that's literally impossible. I mean, this is okay. This is something that I have been studying for a long time, chat, which is in military procurement. The reason why the United States is so bad at buying shit now is because they try to do design by committee, and they try to do jack of all trades. For example, the reason why the F-35 sucks dick is because they try to make it do everything. It's supposed to be able to do, it's the multi-role fighter. But the thing is, the more roles that you stack on top of a single airframe, the less capable it's going to be. Because let's say you're doing an interception mission. You have all this air-to-ground shit that you're hauling around, and it's making you slower, and it's making you have less range, and it's lowering your top speed. Whereas if you build a pure interceptor, an airplane that's designed to fly fast and high to catch bombers and fighters, it's going to do better. It's like the difference between the A-10 and the F-35. The A-10 is designed to be low and slow, slinging 30 millimeter depleted uranium Gatling gun rounds in close air support. And it has a titanium bathtub surrounding the pilot so that the plane can take a lot of hit from the ground, a lot of damage from the ground, so it could suppress enemy forces at a close air, But if you put it against another plane in a dogfight, the A-10's fucked. Okay? And it's a really old plane at this point. But the purpose is it's an attack plane. It's designed to be an attack plane. It's specialized on being an attack plane. The way that the United States tries to save money is they're like, we'll put every single job into one thing. They don't have specialization. Whereas if you look at the United States in World War II, when we were fighting a world war, we had extremely specialized things. A heavy fighter. This is an escort fighter. This is a heavy fighter. This is an interceptor. This is this is a cast plane. This is a tactical bomber. This is a strategic bomber. This is a naval bomber. And yes, some of these airframes could do multiple roles. They could flex a bit. But the point is that you had things that were designed for what they were focused on doing. And so the United States creates these more and more complexity, more and more stuffed in. And then things stop working. Yeah, but if you put everything in the kitchen sink on every craft, then Lockheed gets to sell more boondoggles. And that's exactly the issue. The Arleigh Burke class of destroyers has been in service my entire life since 1991. They're almost 35 years old. Our only destroyer class vessel in the surface fleet. Yeah, the United States is unbelievably dog shit and stupid. And it's like, the perfect example of this is the F-20 situation. The United States of America and our procurement system is so fucking broken. Who developed the F-20? One of our military contractors, let me look it up, developed their own fighter called the F-20. It was Northrop. They paid for their own development. They built it, and it was designed to be extremely cheap, and have like around 90 to 95% of the capability of the F-16 at the time, for like 50 to 60% of the cost. And basically, the United States military conspired to destroy this plane because they knew it would compete with their foreign sales of the F-16. And the way that the F-16 would lower, the way they were going to lower the cost of the F-16 per unit was to try to force every Generalissimo to buy the F-16. But if the F-20 showed up and it has 95% of the capability for 60% of the cost, it just makes sense to buy this instead if you are, some country out there that is looking to get most bang for your buck. So there was basically a conspiracy to destroy this airframe because it was cheap. And so the United States got the F-16. Now I'm going to unmask myself, and I am an F-16 hater. I think the F-16 may be the most overrated aircraft ever created. And the only reason that people think it's any good is because it has not been forced to fight a peer adversary. The F-16 would have been smoked in any type of air. Like if we had fought a war, the F-16 would have been absolutely, it would have been a death trap. It would have been terrible. But everybody likes it because when it's flying clean, it's maneuverable, right? And it looks nice. But when you load it up with bombs, it's slow, it has small range, and its capability sucks. So when it's actually doing missions, it's garbage. I'm an F-16 hater. This is one of Mike from PA's actual takes. Please keep talking about things you know, like Gestalt theory and avocado toast. I know a lot about fighter planes. I've been raised in fighter planes. I literally took my first ride in a fighter plane in utero. I know more about them than you. Pardon my ignorance, but is there a purpose for manned air-to-air fighting when everything is drones? Well, it's not. Everything isn't drones yet. Thanks, buddy. We have the German engineering sickness, super expensive, really short maintenance intervals, and anti-mechanic, meaning parts are hard to go and replace. That's why the Abrams needs 1 hour of maintenance for every hour of operations. It's fucked. Basically, after we beat the Germans in World War II, America was like, we're in the new Nazi Germany. As soon as the Germans were defeated, we were like, now we're Nazi Germany, and we immediately promoted every single Nazi leader to positions of prominence in NATO, and we're like, yes, you just lost the war, but now we're going to reconfigure everything we do in line with your technical direction.
Or 16 ESSM anti-air missiles in a 40-foot container. The smallest ship is likely for anti-submarine warfare, stemming from its requirement for an unobstructed rear, suitable for deploying towed sonar. Large unmanned ships were previously described as up to 300 feet long and displacing 2,000 tons. Roughly 1/4 the Constellation's weight. Binkov speculates these unmanned ships will not fully replace a manned frigate and that a new, smaller, less demanding frigate built quickly to commercial standards may still emerge. This new frigate may drop the frontline anti-submarine requirement to be performed by unmanned ships, but should retain the ocean escort anti-submarine mission, where a larger hull is better for escorting ships at speed compared to a 2,000-ton unmanned hull. But how did the US Navy even find itself in this situation, where they are scrambling to keep pace with China? The United States shipbuilding sector has atrophied after decades of neglect, resulting in fewer shipyards and a scarcity of qualified workers and engineers for high-level shipbuilding and design. The US firm Gibbs & Cox, which was tasked with reworking the Constellation class, experienced similar issues. This problem is widespread. Nearly every US Navy shipbuilding program is experiencing delays. Even the Burke-class destroyer, an old, well-known...
Look at this chat. Columbia-class submarine, 17-month delay. Virginia-class submarine, 3 years. JFK carrier, 2 years. Enterprise carrier, 26 months. American-class LDH, 1 year. Burke Flight 3 class, 25 months. God, we're fucking cooked. Meanwhile, the Chinese are pumping out new ships and new designs. And the thing about the Chinese is that they're iterating, right? They're going like, hey, like they just built an aircraft carrier with electromagnetic catapults, right? But it's not a nuclear carrier. It's a diesel carrier, but it's a heavy fleet carrier. There's basically 3 other countries in the world that are using heavy fleet carriers right now. I think there's only 2 that have flat tops, and it's France and the United States. China just pumps one out. Now they have 3 aircraft carriers. They used to have none. And their next one they're going to build is a nuclear aircraft carrier, which will basically put them on par with the United States' most advanced nuclear naval carriers. And they're pumping them out. They're pumping them out. And they're paying way, 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 way less. And the reason why they're paying way less is because they've built up their industry. And they build all the container ships and all the heavy ships for the world's fleets, commercial fleets. So when they're building an aircraft carrier, it could go right in those dual-use shipyards, and they... thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of qualified shipbuilders and engineers, and they do it. They know how to do it. They're not just sitting there, you know, making money from grifting. The United States is fucked. It is strikingly similar to Imperial Japan. Strikingly similar to Imperial Japan just prior to World War II. Now, we have accumulated over the course of a long time a large number of ships, but we don't have the ability to very rapidly build them. China is kind of taking the position that the US held in World War II, where they have the industrial juggernaut, but the industrial juggernaut is focused on domestic development and the domestic and export economy. It's not focused on war and aggression. And the United States of America, because of our belligerent perspectives toward China, is enabling and forcing China to become militarized to protect themselves. These fucking idiots. We could have just bought their solar panels. What are you doing? Does China even have a blue water navy? Yes, of course they do. And in fact, they have more ships than the US does. And not only that, they have 80 times the shipbuilding. I saw them recently. Hold on, let me see if I can show you this. I think it was CFR, but all the Joint Chiefs got together. Fuck. Recently. Here we go. We watched part of this on stream, I'm going to say 6 months ago.
Well,
here they are. Here's the generals of the Joint
Chiefs. Good evening,
everybody. Chat, these are all 4-star generals that represent the different branches of the U.S. military. So you have the Coast Guard, you have Space Force, you have the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, the Army. And they were talking about this, and it is honest to God. Oh my God, did they not have a transcript? Do they not have transcript? They turned off transcript? Am I blind? Oh my God. Why did they turn off the transcript? Huh? Okay, well, I'll try to remember it.
Admiral Kilby, for the Navy, obviously the Indo-Pacific is front and center. In fact, we just had a CFR trip to Indo-PACOM, spent some time with Admiral Paparo and others out there, incredibly impressive. Spent a day down in a submarine, a nuclear attack submarine, and learning the life of submariners, which is something to behold. It was really something. We're facing a China that has now a larger Navy, at least by numbers, than we do. And it's all focused on one region of the world, while we're focused globally. How confident are you that our quality is sufficiently above China's Navy to make up for the fact they're competitive quantitatively? And then I want to get to shipbuilding as well, and how we're going to possibly compete when China has, I think, 200 times the shipbuilding capacity.
China has the 200 times the shipbuilding capacity, according to CFR, talking to the admiral of the generals of Joint Chiefs. Guys, Chatter wanted to know, why am I an expert? Hey, Chatter, am I an expert? I'm not an expert, technically. Let me just say this. I am an autodidact compared to you, dumb fuck. Because I actually pay attention to the real information. So when I talk about shit, I'm not just pulling it out of my ass. You have to understand how much different I am than other streamers on this platform. Like, you really... I listen to this type of shit in my off-stream time. What do you think other streamers are doing? Just think about it.
Own product has hit a snag, with follow-up hulls for the latest subclass potentially years late. Apparently, the first Flight 3
Chatters don't know what that word means. It doesn't matter.
Ship was like a non-standard prototype, and later ships need further work.
Mike, would you rather spend a day in an attack sub or an hour on an Osprey? Oh, an attack sub for sure, for sure. I'm not a fan of rotary wing aircraft. I think they're a defense against God. If I'm being completely honest, I believe in gliding.
Berks are the most numerous surface combatants, with approximately 75 ships in service. But the oldest
auto rotation is basically gliding. Oh yeah, tell that to Kanye.
35 years old.
Not Kanye. What am I saying? Not Kanye. Kobe. Fucking Christ. I haven't said the name Kobe. Rip Kobe.
Scheduled for retirement,
Jesus Christ,
but the Navy
Kanye.
must now
Fuck
continue using them into the
I have brain worms, chat. My brain is rotting. Fuck.
2030s.
God damn it.
Since new ships are not being built at the 1990s pace of the initial Berks, the number of Berks in the fleet will inevitably begin to fall by the 2030s.
I'm not beating allegations
This reality
of that shit.
partly
Yeah,
drove
I know,
the
right?
decision
God
to
damn
seek
it.
a cheaper
Oops,
frigate
sorry
to
about
lessen the load on the Berks.
Racist! I know. Whoops. Whoops. Although Kobe is pretty sussy too. Has it been long enough? Can we say that? Are we allowed to say? Has it been long enough since the accident? Can we say that Kobe was a little sussy too? Can we say that, or is it too soon still?
Navy's heavily promoting distributed firepower from unmanned ships. Historically, Berks performed even anti-piracy missions because the US Navy lacked enough ships that were cheaper. Using unmanned ships to escort Berks on the front lines could also reduce the need for destroyers in those roles. The entire fleet is aging, hard to maintain, and suffering, not just the destroyers.
So this is called an amphibious assault ship, chat. They basically are light carriers. The Chinese are developing a light carrier that is about 1,000 times better than this, and it's nothing like anything we have. It has an electromagnetic catapult on it. And they're also developing a drone. It's going to be a combination like light carrier drone mothership, and we're fucked. We have nothing like that. We talked about it the other day.
The amphibious assault ship fleet is the worst example. Congress mandates 31 such ships, and while the Navy has 32, a 2024 Government Accountability Office report found that 50% or 16 ships are in poor material condition. This has led to multiple deployments being cancelled or postponed due to ships' unavailability. This issue is partly why the Navy sought to introduce a new, smaller and cheaper class of landing ships to help retain the mandated number and afford maintenance. However, that ship class has also been delayed, and the planned bespoke design was replaced with procuring commercial, already existing designs. Submarines are all.
Are you ever going to get your military's family members' antagonistic beliefs against China? Americans want to believe America is number one, numero uno, super strong, and they're not going to want to accept that the United States is weak. They don't like to accept that we have now allowed the bankers to destroy everything that made America great. It was destroyed by the bankers. And we're not capable of really reckoning that we destroyed our own strength. And we chased. Now how many people do you know want to get a job at the steel mill and, work a union job and then get that pension? How many people do you know where that's reasonable a job for them? Like, literally. I want you to look at around you. And I want you to notice everything that's made of steel or aluminum. And then recognize you're fucked. I mean, we barely have operating engineers and iron workers in America at this point. We can barely even stand up towers anymore. This country is deindustrialized and it's collapsing. But because everybody focuses on money, they don't notice it. But you're gonna notice it very soon. I work on a new class of polar icebreakers for the Coast Guard, and the program is such a disaster that they're looking at delivering the first ship 8 years late with less than half of its proposed capabilities. But you spent like you got all those.
Affected, with a 2023 report showing 30.
Even with tariffs, I could get a part milled from China cheaper and faster than from a shop in the US.
37% being out of action for maintenance, well above the Navy's 20% target. That being said, the Navy has recognized that improving ship maintenance is an urgent need, and on-time maintenance completion rates have been getting better. So, US Navy plans for the next few decades can be summed up as this. We can't compete with China on building as many high-end ships, so we will build more of the smaller, cheaper ships. Be those
we still can't compete! They can build those too! What?
Commercial-grade landing ships or unmanned vessels. Trouble with that logic is that China too can do the same if they wish to do so. Their shipbuilding sector is in an immensely better position to do it. A worldwide review of large cargo ships on order in 2024 showed Chinese shipyards had 34.
Okay, there were 5,448 total large cargo ships being built in 2024. 3,419 were in China, 1,378 were in Japan and South Korea, 197 were in the European Union, 451 were in Vietnam, India, Turkey, and the Philippines. 3 were in the United States.
100 ships on order.
And by the way, chat, because Japan and South Korea are the next largest shipbuilders, but they're very close to China, which gives China a tremendous advantage in attacking those shipyards. So the United States of America is overextended. It's like in a boxing match. Or, if you're lifting a weight, it's easier to lift a weight closer to your body. The more you push it out, the further away you hold the weight, the less leverage you have and the heavier it feels. So the United States of America is having our shipbuilding allies are all conveniently in short cruise range missile range of the Chinese. We are fucked. So we're going to try to fight them across the world while being at a disadvantage. It's over. There's no logic for fighting China. Now, I don't say this because obviously saying America is weak, saying America's overmatched, saying America can't compete it's hard on the ego. It's hard on the ego. If you're an American like me, you were raised on the idea USA number one, USA number one, USA best in the world, USA number one. But the truth is, we're not number one. And the reason why we're not number one is because of greed. We allowed a few rich assholes to steal all the money because they got rid of their employees, their American unionized employees, and they exported their jobs overseas. So we can't build anything anymore. We don't even know how to build anything anymore. We don't even know how to set up the industry again. I mean, most people will still say to you, manufacturing jobs are stupid and a waste of time. We need more people that are pushing paper.
Compared to a total of...
How is the US currency still global standard? Because of fossil fuels. But one of the things that is happening is fossil fuels are being defeated by China. China is trying to create an electrified society, and we talked about this the other day with the Malacca dilemma. Basically, China wants to create a system where they do not rely on foreign energy so that they are secure from outside pressure. And so they have developed green energy for a dual use purpose. One, resolve strategic risk from the United States by ending the Malacca dilemma. And two, save the world from climate change, which will destroy us. And because they have done such a good job at making wind and solar so cheap, they're now exporting it to all of the developing world. And let me tell you, chat, if you develop a green energy grid, first of all, it's decentralized, meaning that individual people could invest in renewable energy for themselves and they could solve their energy problems, thereby lowering pressure on national grids worldwide. And so there is a centralized and decentralized effort to electrify the world economy being led by China. The United States is the avatar of the old system of fossil fuels. China is building hydroelectric dams, wind farms, solar fields, nuclear power plants, battery storage, pump storage hydro. They're literally creating high-speed rail and electric vehicles. So China is creating an electrified society. And once they resolve the Malacca dilemma, once they have their energy grid completely electrified and off coal, the rest of the world is going to copy China. And they're going to want to buy from China because oil and gas are expensive and polluting, and you're relying on a different country which then can dictate what you do. And that is the reality. That is the reality, is that China is setting itself up to be a nuclear and green energy. I don't know what your opinion is on nuclear, chat, but China is trying to replace a lot of their baseline coal power with fusion and fourth generation nuclear power plants, as well as large hydroelectric projects. That way they can create a strong baseline electrical generation that's not vulnerable to, wind and sun shining, not, dips, but also back it up, but build the majority of their energy supply being on solar, wind, hydro, and then, having a nuclear baseline with super high advanced. I mean, it's just, they're going to have the cheapest energy in the world. It's going to be carbon free. And it's not bullshit. They're doing it. They are doing it. Like, it's not bullshit. They are doing it. And so anybody who's coping is just coping in the middle of an unbelievable transition that's happening. Because China hasn't gotten off coal yet, which they have not. They are also expanding their electricity consumption at the same time. So not only are they expanding electricity consumption, they're decarbonizing at the same time. Do you understand what's happening here? Do you get it? You're seeing a new world superpower rocketing into the future. And our country is sitting there standing still, looking to the past. And I'm begging Americans to say to your fucking politicians, we're done with capital. We're done with the bankers. We're done with fossil fuel industry. We're done with outsourcing. We need to fix our country now. But instead, people look at China and go, oh, China bad because they used coal. We use coal. We use gas. What are you talking about? The difference is they're actually building the infrastructure of the future. We aren't. It's like looking at a photo of somebody on a motorcycle going 200 miles an hour and somebody standing on the side of the track perfectly still and taking a photo of when they're standing side by side and going, look, see, they're the same. You're in the same place. And it's like, and then the next instant happens and the fucking 200 mile an hour car is a quarter mile down the road. That's where we are with America. If we do not immediately pivot to a Green New Deal and invest trillions of dollars at home, we're fucking cooked. And this is not just about American dominance in the world, world or whatever. I'm talking about American prosperity. Our prosperity is cooked because the moment American finance is not dominating, the moment people are not using and demanding American dollars, we won't be able to borrow as much money. The moment that the fossil fuels go off of global hegemonic purposes, we're not going to be able to control other countries as much with threats of cutting off their oil supply. Once we use our finance position and a world reserve currency position, what are we selling people? What are we selling people? And your prosperity will go. You will live in poverty. American economy will collapse. This isn't just about American hegemony. This is about the American, like, will you have a life that's worth living? Or will this be like the Soviet Union or Russia in 1992, where the economy collapses by 40%, where you can't find a job anymore, where you can't make money anymore? The United States is setting itself up for collapse unless we invest domestically while we still have the advantage of the global reserve currency and the ability to borrow money cheaply. And unless we rejuvenate our domestic economy, we are fucking cooked. That's what worries me. Is China is not a threat to the United States of America. They're not a threat to him. They're not going to come here and invade. That's the thing that's so galling, is China is not a threat to us. And we're going to fucking die out because we're going to spend trillions on worthless military that doesn't protect us instead of the trillions here at home for healthcare, for education, for infrastructure. What the fuck are you doing?
Only 3 ships for US shipyards, 1,100 times fewer. This massive difference, which has greatly accelerated since 2022, highlights that commercial US shipbuilding is virtually non-existent, with the majority of large ship construction in the States being for the Navy. This makes it extremely difficult to quickly upscale production if a conflict were to break out. Such industry woes contributed to the smaller, less qualified workforce for building Navy's warships, explaining why US warship construction has consistently lagged behind China for years. The trends are unrelenting. For 2025, it is assumed the carrier Enterprise will not be launched before the year's end due to announced delays, and China's submarine launches are estimated from photos. Current trends show the US Navy is not significantly increasing its number of newly built ships per average year, and its combined tonnage remains steady. In contrast, China had a record 5-year period for combined tonnage. The smaller number of ships China launches means the individual hulls are now large and capable. Long gone are the days when the Chinese Navy was reliant on masses of small coastal ships. The period from 2026 to 2030 may see an improvement for the US Navy, with the Ford-class carrier construction hitting its stride and the delayed Enterprise rolling over to 2026, resulting in 2 carrier launches by 2030. This, plus 2 more America-class landing ships, about 3 San Antonio-class landing ships, some of those new medium-sized landing ships, and the regular pace of Berks and Virginias, sets the Navy to hit a record figure of over 600,000 tons. The tonnage of new Chinese ships by 2030 is impossible to estimate, but it is plausible that China could also launch 2 new carriers by then, as well as drastically increase its nuke submarine production. The US Navy's longer-term shipbuilding plans, analyzed by the Congressional Budget Office for 2025 through 2054, project several general trends, despite being subject to change. Carrier numbers are expected to drop from approximately 11 to 9, and destroyers from about 85 to just under 80. Attack submarines are a bright spot, projected to rise from nearly 50 today to over 60.
Yeah, because you're talking about the SSNX, which doesn't exist, and you're just saying it's going to get completed. Oh my god. Bro, the US Navy is fucking cooked.
And landing ship fleet is expected to double in size due to the introduction of the new small ship class. The replacement for the Burke-class destroyer has been postponed, with construction start for the lead ship not expected before 2032 and service entry in the late 2030s. The plan envisions limited numbers of the new destroyers, meaning advanced Burkes may remain the backbone of the US Navy for the next 50 years or so. The Constellation class was projected to fully replace littoral combat ships from the 2040s with a fleet of up to 60 hulls. Though now cancelled, a new frigate design, likely numbering at least 2 dozen, is still expected.
They're projecting American shipbuilding off of designs that don't exist versus actual completed ships from China. Do you understand how cooked that is? Do you understand how absolutely completely cooked that is?
Many smaller unmanned ships filling the gap. Overall, the US Navy is projected to grow from 290 ships today to mid-300 ships by 2054. This strategy of procuring smaller and cheaper ships to keep up the overall numbers is the opposite of the example the Chinese Navy has followed, which has focused on building larger ships. While China is also likely to adopt unmanned ships, they may be added on top of its large fleet, rather than replacing a part of it. Although the United States Navy is beset with problems, its sheer size enables it to fulfill its duties. However, its capability edge will continue to erode over the coming decades, an inevitable
Leo bit the dentist again.
result of the financial and industrial realities of the country. If the US wants to win over China, it might be in its interest to somehow do it sooner rather than later. And remember, Binkov may talk about war.
Now, thank you, Binkoff Battlegrounds, for that amazing video. But if you're like, okay, Mike, that's just a dumb VTuber. You know, he's got a Muppet character. Like, why do you care? You must have missed it. You absolutely must have missed the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. China shrugs off Trump's tariffs with world record $1 trillion trade surplus. China is emerging from Trump's 2025 trade wars more or less intact, replacing US-bound exports with other partners. China's export machine roared back to life last month, pushing its trade surplus for 2025 over the $1 trillion threshold for the first time on record. Not only is it a first for China, it's a first in world historical terms. No country in recorded economic history has ever reached that figure. Data released Monday shows exports rose 6% last year, year over year, rebounding over October's unexpected dip, while imports grew only slightly, hence the gap or surplus. China is selling far more to the world than it buys. In all, the surplus widened to about 1.08 trillion for the year to date. On paper, the November data could look like a simple rebound story. In practice, it captured a deeper, newer shift in China's global economic role. Shipments to the U.S. plunged 29% last month, continuing a year-long slide. Yet overall exports still grew thanks to large gains across the rest of the world, particularly to Southeast Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America. In effect, it shows China emerging from President Donald Trump's 2025 trade wars more or less intact, replacing U.S.-bound exports with other partners, defying what leverage Trump may have believed he had. China's dependence on the United States consumer is shrinking, and fast. As recently as a decade ago, the U.S. routinely absorbed 25% of China's exports. Today, it's closer to 10%. That's because Beijing has spent the intervening years engaged in a long game, building more direct trade relationships with the rest of the world. Now those relationships are providing strong enough to offset steep tariff swings. So what this is saying, chat, is that China is now outside containment. It's too fucking late. The U.S. is cooked. We don't have any leverage over China anymore. They're so developed and they're so ahead of the curve that they could just sell their shit to other countries. Other countries like the products because they're so high quality and there's no competitor. It's over. Over. This diversification significantly blunts Washington's leverage. Access to the U.S. market has been the traditional pressure point of the U.S.-China trade fight. When China can replace a sharp collapse in U.S. demand with double-digit growth elsewhere, the bite of tariffs is reduced. Supply chains may be slow to adapt and change, but once they're rerouted toward a more distributed system without the U.S. as the center or end point, the U.S. becomes straightforwardly less important and powerful. So in other words, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, by confronting China and being aggressive for no fucking reason, again, no compelling reason other than they're socialist, have fucked us and made us weaker and less important and less powerful, which is probably, if we're being honest, a good thing, because our capitalists are fucking evil rats and our bankers are evil fucking bloodthirsty parasites. So the less important they are, quite frankly, the better. While a trade surplus this large shows China's export dominance, it also highlights a widely understood tension. In the same way that trade deficits are not unambiguously bad, large surpluses are not unambiguously good. Trade surpluses tend to signal some areas of world-beating competitiveness, but they also reflect weak or declining domestic demand at home. And it's true that in recent months, analysts have drawn attention to China's possibly faltering domestic... Possibly, guys. Likewise, dramatic trade imbalances can cause political blowback abroad, potentially inviting new rounds of tariffs and investigations from trading partners who may see such surpluses as destabilizing or unfair. Arguably, that explains in large part how China found itself embroiled in the 2025 trade wars. So in other words, okay, so China has a lot of money now. So they need to spend that money in a way that makes their partners happy, because a trade surplus is kind of, there is a bad part of it, is you have a lot of money, other people's money, but you can't spend other countries' money at home. You have your own money. So China has to then buy stuff from these other countries that it can bring back to China. And it appears to me that what they've been buying is gold. It looks to me like the Chinese have been buying gold, because gold was roughly pretty flat around $2,000 an ounce. But since Trump has come into office, gold has been going fucking straight up. So I think that the Chinese are buying gold.
Time for business now on the programme. Brian Quinn is here. He is starting with a major milestone for the Chinese economy. Its trade surplus has toppled $1 trillion.
CCP, supposed communists, could be more pro-common people working class, but opt not to be. China's Xi declares victory in ending extreme poverty. Chinese President Xi Jinping says his country has achieved the miracle of eradicating extreme poverty. His government says that over an 8-year period, nearly 100 million people have been lifted out of poverty. Speaking at a ceremony in Beijing, Mr. Xi said it was a complete victory that would go down in history. According to the current criteria, all 98.99 million poor rural population have been taken out of poverty, 832 poverty-stricken counties, as well as 128,000 villages have been removed from the poverty list, he said. Eradicating rural poverty had been a key initiative of Mr. Xi's since he came to power in 2012. At a ceremony on Thursday, Mr. Xi handed out medals to key figures in the poverty fight, but some experts say China has set a low bar in its definition of poverty and that its ongoing investment is needed in its poorest area. That's true, and I don't think they would disagree. World Bank lifting 800 million people out of poverty. New report looks at lessons from China's experience. Over the past 40 years, the number of people in China with incomes below $1.90 per day, the international poverty line as defined by the World Bank to track extreme global poverty, has fallen by 800 million. With this, China has contributed 3/4 of the global reduction in the number of people living in extreme poverty. At China's current national poverty line, the number of poor fell by 770 million over the same period. China's battle against poverty has benefited the largest number of people in human history. I don't know. I think that might be pretty good. I don't know, man. I think that might be good. Hey, what can I say?
Dollars for the first time ever, Brian.
$1 trillion, too, and we are not even to the end of the year yet. A trade surplus, of course, the difference between the value of goods that a country exports and the value of goods it imports. China's customs agency announced Monday that from January to November, the country had exported $1.08 trillion more than it imported, topping what was already an annual record for the entirety of last year. And that comes in spite of an ongoing trade war with the U.S. In late October, Washington and Beijing did call a truce after several rounds of escalating tariffs. Still, November saw Chinese exports to the U.S. fall by nearly 29%. Chinese exports to other markets, though, are booming, notably to the European Union and the ASEAN group of Southeast Asian economies, where exports were up 15% and 8% respectively. The historic milestone reflects Beijing's reliance on export manufacturing to drive the Chinese economy as domestic demand continues to slump. The OECD says it does expect the Chinese government to hit its target of 5% growth this year. Take a listen.
Less of the external environment, the tariffs and the pressure in foreign trade. China's economy performed well. China is in a transformation when it comes to the green and digital transformation. But China is also transforming its industry and the structuring industry.
Well, trade surplus might be welcome news for China. Not such good news, though, for Europe, Brian.
No, indeed. Europe is increasingly worried about Beijing's industrial policies like heavily subsidizing the construction and operations of manufacturing facilities and keeping China's currency, the yuan, consistently undervalued. Such practices have the effect of flooding foreign markets like Europe's with artificially cheap goods. Products like electric vehicles, solar...
I've been to a lot of factories, Chad, in my life. The Chinese factories are so much nicer than American factories, it's not even close. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but I don't know if you guys have been to factories before, but this is crazy. Everyone has, like, an individual fan over them. I'm sorry, but have you been to an Like, I was just in an Amazon warehouse, and they're, like, 120 degrees. They're, like, 120 degrees. This was a story from a decade ago from Pennsylvania. That was a huge story. Amazon forced warehouse employees to work in suffocating 110-degree heat. Employees were forced to work in heat that hit 114 degrees at a warehouse in the Lehigh Valley, PA. Amazon kept paramedics at the parking lot of the warehouse to treat employees who were fainting, suffering from dehydration or exhaustion.
Energy equipment and consumer electronics. China now exports twice as much to Europe as it imports from the continent, and its trade surplus with the EU is only growing larger. In an interview with French business newspaper Les Echos published on Sunday, President Emmanuel Macron warned that Europe may be forced to adopt tariff policies on Chinese goods similar to the U.S. Macron just got back from a 3-day state visit to China. Germany's foreign minister has just arrived there in China for a visit of his own. He says China's industrial overcapacity will be a key issue as his country's crucial car industry comes under increasing pressure from Chinese competition. Here's the German foreign minister.
I will address trade restrictions and overcapacity, which are causes of great concern to German companies. I'm convinced that Germany and China both have an interest in a stable...
Tesla couldn't even provide a fan for each station at their factories. People were straight up falling out and having seizures and shit. They didn't give a fuck. Laid us off all anyway. Yeah.
...global trade. To achieve this, companies need reliability and security. In the long term, this can only be guaranteed if everyone can comply with the rules of open and fair international trade.
So basically what's happening here is the Europeans imposed their fucking economic system on the world, which meant you got to borrow in our dollars or our euros. You have to get rid of everything, you know, all your social programs. You have to take big debt in a fucking destroyed countries, and no countries developed. Decades and decades of European and American-led international development was just setting up extraction, neo-imperialism. China finally created a development model where they said, you want to come into China? You can hire our employees. They're highly educated. They're healthy. We'll build the infrastructure. As long as you teach us technology transfers, you help train our engineers, you launch joint business ventures with our citizens. That's what they did. That was the deal. And American and European mega conglomerates made trillions. But all the while, China was building itself up. It was building the infrastructure, it was investing in its people, it was targeting poverty. And now that China has scaled from starting out producing low quality light industrial knickknacks, now they start building electric vehicles, they start building solar panels, they start building semiconductors, they start building lithium ion batteries. Now it's a problem. China has climbed the value chain to the highest value add manufacturing. And now suddenly free trade. Whoa, who said anything about free trade? Oh, we got to make it fair now. It's got to be fair now. It wasn't fair when they were sending in the French Foreign Legion to steal gold in West Africa. It wasn't fair when the CFA franc was being printed in Paris and not Africa, and they controlled Africa's currencies. It wasn't fair when America's allies supported a genocide in Sudan, which is still ongoing, to steal the gold there. That's fine. That's fair. But the moment China's like, hey, you want a solar panel? It's cheap. Now suddenly fairness is important.
Straight to the markets. How are they shaping up today, Brian?
Well, Chinese indexes mixed on Monday as investors digest that latest trade data. In a statement released on Monday, the country's Central Leadership Committee vowed to try and boost the domestic economy next year in the face of international trade turmoil. The Nikkei in Tokyo, meanwhile, treading water as new data shows the Japanese economy shrank more than expected in the third quarter. Mumbai's Nifty 50, meanwhile, in the red, with shares of Indigo Airlines down nearly 10% as the Indian government says the company may face regulatory action after thousands of flights were canceled last week. Here in Europe, major indexes opening fairly flat as investors wait to see if the U.S. Federal Reserve will in fact cut interest rates as expected. Analysts widely predicting a quarter-point cut, but the bank's decision and its comments will set the tone for other central banks like the Bank of England and the European Central Bank as they lay out their own upcoming rate policies later in the month.
Now, finally for business, Netflix's planned acquisition of Warner Brothers. A big deal, huge deal, of course. Far from a done deal, though.
That's right, Stuart. The merger, valued at some $83 billion, promises to reshape Hollywood as the world's top streaming giant won out in a bidding war to acquire the historic studio behind hit franchises like Harry Potter, The Matrix, and The Lord of the Rings. But plenty of hurdles do remain, not least of which is the potential of the Trump administration to block the deal on regulatory grounds. Then there's Hollywood.
You see, by the way, chat, they want the Zionist Ellisons to be able to buy all American media. So now suddenly the regulations are real again.
Itself, which increasingly uneasy with the streaming takeover that has upended its old business models. Caroline Baum takes.
And then, chat, there is something that I've got to show you. It almost blew my mind. And then we'll be done. We'll be done with the China glaze. America's military has defended the free world for 80 years. This was published as an official position of the New York Times. This is not an op-ed. This is an official position of the New York Times newspaper. Are you ready? Our dominance is fading. Rivals know this and are building to defeat us. Overmatched. Why the U.S. military needs to reinvent itself. The opinion of the editors of the New York Times. President Xi Jinping of China has ordered his armed forces to be ready to seize Taiwan by 2027. Though the United States maintains a policy of strategic ambiguity on how it will respond to an invasion, Republican and Democratic presidents alike have said that America would defend the island nation. I can tell you right now, if you try to put me in a war with China, I'm at war with you. And I know that Americans agree with me. We have absolutely no desire whatsoever to die in Taiwan or whatever other dumb bullshit you warmongers are trying to do. The United States of America cannot defeat China. We could defeat China in the Korean War, for fuck's sake, and that was right. They were poor as fuck, and they had just come out of a devastating 2 decades of civil war and invasion from Japan. The United States of America could not stand toe-to-toe with China when we were at the peak of our post-World War II power and they were at their lowest. There's no fucking way we could do it now. We had to retreat with our tail between our legs from Afghanistan. This is nonsense. The Pentagon has produced a classified multi-year assessment that shows how such conflict would play out. The Overmatch Brief. The report is a comprehensive review of U.S. military power prepared by the Pentagon's Office of Net Assessment and delivered most recently to the top White House officials in the last year. It catalogs China's ability to destroy American fighter planes, large ships, and satellites, and identifies the U.S. military supply chain choke points. Its details have not been previously reported. The picture it paints is consistent and disturbing. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, said last November that in the Pentagon's war games against China, we lose every time. So why the fuck are you trying to make them an enemy? What are you doing? Can we invest in housing our homeless? Can we fix our roads and our bridges? Can we have hospitals and universities that work? What the fuck are you doing? That's what China invested in. The reason why we lose against China is because they invested in their own country. That's the thing that's insane. We lose every time because China is strong where it counts. In the muscles and the sinews of a domestic economy on infrastructure. Because China, if they fought a war over Taiwan, Taiwan is 90 miles off the coast of China. That is their territory. It was part of China for centuries. That is their backyard. That is their front porch. And America is 6,000 miles away from the California coast. It doesn't make any fucking sense to do this. We don't have to fight China. They are not our enemy. They have been one of our closest economic partners for decades. What are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't profit any American to fight China. It doesn't. This is global capitalism, scared of socialism, and they want to protect their stupid parasitic system, and they're scared what will happen if China is allowed to keep growing naturally. They're scared that everybody's going to wake up to the fact that the parasitic rich don't need to exist. That's what they're scared of. So they want to put you in a fucking war with China and what, risk global thermonuclear war? What, kill hundreds of thousands or millions? What are you doing? This is pointless. Stop. When a senior Biden national security official received the overmatch breach in 2021, he turned pale as he realized that every trick we have up our sleeve, the Chinese have redundancy after redundancy, according to one official who was present. In other words, for all the aggressive warmongering tricks we use against small, weak countries, China, a country of 1.4 billion people and the world's largest economy, they can handle it. You don't fucking say, you white racist dipshit. It's unbelievable that you even think we can, honest to God, if you think we can compete with China, you are delusional. I mean that. You are fucking delusional. The assessment shows something more worrying than the potential outcome of a war over Taiwan. It shows the Pentagon's over-reliance on expensive, vulnerable weapons as adversaries field cheap, technologically advanced ones. And it traces a decades-long decline in America's ability to win a long war with a major power. War games can be wrong. Analysts sometimes overstate adversaries' abilities, yet this larger point should not be ignored. Nearly 4 decades after victory in the Cold War, the U.S. military is ill-prepared for today's global threats and revolutionary technologies. It is an ancient and familiar pattern. Despite ample warnings, military and political leaders trained in one set of assumptions, tactics, and weapons fail to adapt to change. Whether it was the French army in 1940 stuck behind its defensive Maginot Line, this is not even true. This is why we're fucked. This is why we're fucked. This isn't even true. The Maginot Line held, dummy. They came through the Ardennes. They came through the place where the Maginot Line wasn't. The fucking dumb French didn't learn from World War I. That's actually the real reality. They didn't build defensive lines on the Belgian border. They went through the Ardennes. They went around the Maginot. The Maginot held, dumbass. That's not even what happened. This is a cliche. This is not even true. What actually happened is the Belgians remained neutrality and did not coordinate their military with the French out of hopes of staving off a German aggression like they had experienced in World War I. So there was not a coordinated, linked defensive line. And so the fucking Germans went around the defensive lines through Belgium and through the Ardennes around the Maginot Line. They did not punch through the Maginot Line until the war was already over. And the French elite troops were trapped along the coast in Belgium. This is not even what happened. In fact, if they had extended the defensive line all the way to the fucking channel, they probably would not have been defeated because the Germans would not have been able to punch through. This is just not true. And yet it is a cliche that everyone says. Oh, the dumb French, they had their defensive line and the Germans, they went through it. No, they did not. They went around it. The Maginot Line did exactly what it was intended to do, to funnel the Germans away. The French army and the English army were outmaneuvered. I mean, it's just like, and by the way, this is a cliche that people repeat over and over and over and over again. It's high school. It's like middle school understanding of World War II. Or Russian armored formations in Ukraine in 2022 decimated by Javelin missiles. The result is devastating for the side that will not discard old concepts, adopt new weapons, or rethink its way of war. First of all, the Russians did adopt new concepts, which is why they're winning, because they realized that armored assaults are no longer viable in the era of cheap anti-tank missiles and FP drones. They know that now. And so they went into artillery duels and drone duels, and they have won the war. That's where the United States risks finding itself. The Trump administration wants to increase defense spending in 2026 to more than $1 trillion. Much of that money will be squandered on capabilities that do more to magnify our weaknesses than sharpen our strengths. So in other words, America, instead of, okay, if you understand, chat, Bernie Sanders' Build Back Better bill was $8.6 trillion, which is $860 billion a year. Smaller than this. And it was killed. They didn't even pass it. They ended up whittling it down to 1.4 trillion over 10 years, and then it didn't even pass. We are basically incapable of spending any money on making our country stronger. And this is why we're going to lose. Because all of this money is grift and graft. It's stolen. Killing 1 million of your own young men for 20% of Ukraine is winning. Okay, first of all, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, but the United States of America has destroyed Ukraine. And all of the Russia's strategic objectives are likely to be fulfilled. Now, you could say that it's not worth the cost. I would not have invaded if I was in the Russian government. I think that the invasion was wrong, illegal, and ineffective, and way too expensive, and just evil. So I would not have done it. But if you're talking about strategic objectives of the Russians, they are very close to achieving them all. I mean, basically right now, the Trump administration is trying to pressure Ukraine to surrender. Like, that's what's happening right fucking now. And it'll end up being a third of Ukraine, the most valuable third. Trillions of dollars of strategic resources, Black Sea coast, a land bridge to Crimea. Like, I don't know what to say, man. Like, you could say that it was too expensive for the Russians, and maybe it will be. Maybe it will end up being incredibly damaging. But to say they were defeated, I'm sorry, they haven't been. The United States and Europe poured hundreds of billions of dollars and gave away most of our large strategic reserves to Ukraine, and we were not able to push the Ukrainians out of, push the Russians out of Ukraine. Hundreds of billions of dollars in support. That's not a success. I'm sorry. The United States has not always used its military effectively or for just causes. This is the most liberal statement of all time. This is the most liberal statement. When's the last just war America fought? World War motherfucking II. Yet a strong America has been critical to a world in which freedom and prosperity are far more common than at nearly at any other point in human history. 3/4 of the prosperity of the world happened in China. Let's keep it straight, okay? And then if you throw in Vietnam, it's like 90%. So 90% of the world's poverty destruction. Actually, if you throw in the one state in India that is run by communists, 95% of the world's global poverty reduction is literally in communist administered areas over the last 40 years. Kerala, Vietnam, and China. What a win for capitalism. Western Europe, Japan, and South Korea. South Korea is like the only one that you could say that is not part of that. Western Europe, Japan, and South Korea are all affluent democracies today, thanks in part to American might. What? They were already rich, and most of them were democracies before World War II. What are you talking about? Even Germany had a democratic tradition. What the fuck are you talking about? Japan was very rich. That's why they were able to do their whole empire thing. What the fuck are we talking about? A world in which totalitarian China achieves military superiority in Asia and Russia feels free to menace Europe would make Americans poorer and threaten democracies everywhere. Totalitarian China is just objectively false. That's not true. That is just crazy talk. These words have meanings, guys. Like, this is nonsense. I'm sorry that China is not totalitarian. There is not complete subservience to the state. That's just not true. It's just not true. It's just crazy. It is a prospect we should act resolutely to prevent. I'm sorry, but it's over. Like, what do you want me to talk about? What are you talking about? You fumbled Russia. You know, when the Soviet Union collapsed, you know what the reformers wanted? They wanted to copy Sweden. That's the Gorbachev reformers. They're like, we want to copy Sweden. Can you help us transition to Sweden? And the United States of America said, how about we do libertarian economic free-for-all? We destroy everything. How about we do that? And Putin is the result. He was our guy. So Russia is literally our fault. Gorbachev and Putin were our guy. Excuse me, Gorbachev wasn't. Yeltsin and Putin was our guy. Gorbachev was a naive idiot and an incompetent. This is the first of a series of editorials examining what's gone wrong with the U.S. military, technologically, bureaucratically, culturally, politically, and strategically, and how we can create a relevant and effective force that could detour wars whenever possible and win them whenever necessary. You're saying you want to prevent China from becoming the world's premier power in Asia. That's impossible. You have literally set out a mission that is impossible. There is no way the United States of America could stop China from becoming the global, the regional power of Asia. It is not possible. It's impossible. That is impossible. That is nonsensical. That's like saying, I want to wake up tomorrow and stop everybody from breathing. You can't do it unless you nuke the world. You have set to yourself an impossible mission. Notice that the mission isn't feed, clothe, and house every American. Notice that the mission isn't prevent catastrophic climate change and end wars, right? It is prevent China from becoming a global power in Asia. What the fuck are you talking about? 20 years ago, America's dominance in the Pacific ensured it could defend Taiwan. Look at look at this aggression. Look at this aggression. Look at this aggression. I'm sorry, but this is fucking evil. Imperialism. These are United States military bases. This is where your tax dollars go. I go outside and the streets are filled with trash. And this is where my tax dollars are going? If I drive a few blocks in that direction, I will see 500 Americans living on the street in trash heaps. This is where my taxes are going? Are you fucking okay? In 2025, China's ability to strike U.S. forces was limited by its relatively small arsenal of missiles. So why do we have so many bases there then? Why do we have so many bases there then? If they didn't have any ability to strike the U.S., why the fuck do we have so many bases there? So when China was peaceful, we were shoving our boot down their mouth. So we responded to peaceable trade. Again, China had been trading with the United States for decades at this point, peaceably, as our top trading partner. And we responded by building bases right up in their face. If I were China, I would be a lot more aggressive than they are. China now has enough missiles to potentially destroy America's advanced weapons before they come near Taiwan. This isn't on America. I don't see any American territory here, unless you're talking about Guam or Marshall Islands, which are our colonies that we impose massive military presence on. So all I'm seeing is China's defensive weapons. That's all I see. This is actually batshit crazy. A new reality has come into focus in many places, particularly in Ukraine, since Russia invaded in 2022. Inventive Ukrainian forces neutralized the once formidable Russian Black Sea Fleet using small remote-controlled boats loaded with explosives. Many of Russia's most valuable heavy bomber aircraft were badly damaged or destroyed in June by small Ukrainian drones sneaked into the country and launched against bases as far away as Siberia. Hey guys, did Russia collapse because they lost their strategic bombers? Oh, it turns out it's a fucking boondoggle and a waste of money. This is what's incredible about this, is it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how dumb this shit is. These dumb motherfuckers are so locked into the idea that America should be an empire that this is what we have to face. I mean, I just can't listen to this shit. In eastern Ukraine, drones typically cost a few $100s to make, and which Ukraine and Russia, now produced by the millions, have transformed the battlefield into a mashup of All Quiet on the Western Front and Blade Runner. As national security writer Max Boot has observed, Max Boot may be one of the most warmongering, insane psychos, fascists in American foreign policy discourse, and that's who they're quoting. I wish I could say what I believed. I wish I could transmit to you guys what I believed. I wish I wasn't being censored. I wish I could say it. I wish I could say it. One day we're gonna have an honest stream where I'm not being censored, and I'll just see how it goes. You know, one day, to see where American defense dollars go, consider the United States ship Gerald R. 4, America's largest aircraft carrier, which deployed for the first time in 2022 after more than a decade of construction delays. The ship incorporates new technologies, including advanced nuclear reactors and electromagnetic catapults for launching aircraft, which make it more efficient than the Nimitz-class aircraft carriers that it's intended to replace. The price tag, $13 billion. Pennsylvania spends $8.2 billion for basic education for the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget. The entire state of Pennsylvania is 13 million Americans. They spend $8.2 billion on a K-12, basic education appropriation. We're spending $12 billion on one aircraft carrier that does not work. I'm sorry, 13 billion. Imagine what they could do with an additional $5 billion Dollars. And I'll answer that to you, chat. Rich people usually spend around $40,000 on tuition for private schools. Sometimes more. That's usually around where it is. They could basically give every single Pennsylvanian child an education equivalent to the finest private schools for $5 billion more dollars. America is a shithole. And not only is this a shithole, destroying itself because it cannot recognize even basic facts like I just explained. The reason why China is winning is not because of communism. It's not because of the superiority of their ideology or their ideas. The only idea that matters is we should train more scientists and more engineers, and we should build more infrastructure. We should care about our own country's domestic strength and the quality of life of the people. That's why they're going to win. The price tag, an estimated $13 billion. That figure is for a single ship. It does not include the billions of dollars worth of military aircraft carried by the Ford and the escort ships needed to defend it. I want you to understand that our country is evil in ways that you really cannot comprehend. I think that this is something that a lot of Americans don't know or don't get. You're not evil. I know you're not evil. I know you care about other people. I know you want people to live peaceful lives of happiness, but you've been lied to. You think we don't have enough to go around. You think the reason people live on the streets is because we just can't afford to house them. You have been taught that idea, that the government is broke, that there's not enough to go around. We live in a world of scarcity, and you'd love to care for more people, but you've got to focus on you and your family first because that's who you know, that's who you love, and that's the only people you have the resources to protect. Every single word of that is a fucking lie. And it's spread by the rich so they can have more. How much more? No limit. Elon Musk wants to be a trillionaire. Elon Musk wants to be a trillionaire. He can't even spend $1 billion on himself. $1 trillion is 1,000 billion. Again, they spend $8.2 billion annually on education for all the children in Pennsylvania. Elon Musk wants 1,000 billion. We're not out of money. We're out of your ability to understand the world and do something about it. Anything. Right now. Such formidable firepower is effective if you want to go to war with a relatively poor, weak country like, say, Venezuela. Yet the Ford, which is currently deployed in the Caribbean, is fatally vulnerable to no forms of attack. China in recent years has amassed an arsenal of 600 hypersonic weapons, which could travel at 5 times the speed of sound and are difficult to intercept. Other countries possess quiet diesel-electric submarines capable of sinking American carriers. In war games like those depicted in the Overmatch brief, ships like the Ford are often destroyed. Still, the Navy plans to build at least 9 additional Ford-class carriers in the coming decade. So far, the United States has yet to deploy a single hypersonic missile. I wonder, like, if you could tell me that there would be a skirmish between the United States Navy and the Chinese Navy where the U.S. Ford carrier got sunk, I would be against that. I don't want that to happen. I don't want any American to die. But one of the things that might emerge from it is a wake-up call that America should not fight a war with China. The thing is, though, I worry that Americans have been trained into this kind of bellicose, xenophobic dipshittery where we think we're invulnerable to the concept of defeat. I don't want America to fight a war with China because I care about Americans. Take the possibility of a Russian attack on a NATO member state such as Estonia. Let's take that under account. Oh, I'm imagining Estonia getting attacked. I'm still sleeping. I haven't woken up yet. I'm not, you know what? Somehow, I don't think Estonia is my national interest. There I said it. There's also no evidence this is going to happen. You've just invented this. Evidence suggests that Moscow may be testing ways to do this, including by cutting the undersea cables on which NATO forces depend. Ukraine blew up undersea gas pipelines. Does that mean that the invasion of Ukraine is now justifiable? Like, what is this? What are you talking about? And Russia is learning fast in the laboratory of war in Ukraine. Earlier this year, Kyiv's forces captured a Russian drone made of commercially available parts that can navigate autonomously to a target, akin to an off-the-shelf cruise missile. Nor is it just our allies that are at risk. China has installed malware into the computer networks that control power grids, communication systems, and water supplies for the American military bases. The advanced cyber campaign, carried out by the state-sponsored hacking group known as Volt Typhoon, threatens the military's ability to move weapons and forces in the event of a crisis in the Pacific and could affect civilians as well. America's cybersecurity officials have struggled to find and remove the malware. Guys, I don't know about you, but I struggle to sleep at night imagining the US military not being able to move our weapons to Taiwan war. Why have successive administrations, Republican and Democratic, persisted in investing in the old way of war? The one reason in this inertia is Congress and the Pentagon. The channels which funds flow to weapon systems are deep and difficult to reroute. An entrenched oligopoly of 5 large defense contractors, down from 51 in the early 90s, has an interest in selling the Pentagon ever costlier evolutions of the same ships, planes, and missiles. Hey, that was your idea. That was your idea. You believe in consolidations. That was Bill Clinton's idea. That was your idea. That was the neoliberal idea. Consolidations, mergers, and acquisitions are good. Competition is when you let companies become monopolies. That was your fucking idea. The profits were great. Another factor is military culture. Senior officials tend to be wedded to the technologies and tactics in which they made their careers. When General David H. Berger, who was then commandant of the Marines, decided in 2020 to get rid of the Corps' tanks, which are difficult to transport and maintain, for the sake of creating a lighter, more agile force that could better counter China, he had to overcome intense institutional resistance. General Berger was right. The war in Ukraine demonstrated how vulnerable tanks have become. If tanks are vulnerable, aircraft carriers are literal floating coffins. There is also a conceptual failure. The idea that more sophisticated is always better. For decades, the American military has relied on systems that are bespoke, complex, and wildly expensive. I wonder why. I wonder fucking why. Because people like you said we needed them in order to be dominant over our adversaries. You were the people who advocated for this stupid shit. It was the left that was like, we should build a deterrent force that is cheap. That's what we've been saying. Military should be a defensive military. And the purpose of the defensive military is to prevent and deter aggression against American territory. And in the event of a war, give us enough time to spool up our industrial system to produce weapons for a large conflict. That is the purpose of the military. That made some sense back when our primary adversary, the Soviet Union, pursued a similar approach, allowing the West to spend it into the ground. Trouble with highly engineered and expensive weapons is that they are all but impossible to produce rapidly or produce in large numbers. The army wants to field its own small drones, not for a few $100s per unit, as in Ukraine, but a more sophisticated version of the same weapon for tens of thousands of dollars. Unsurprisingly, the more complex version takes much longer to produce. This is actually just grift. This is Palmer Luckey stealing money from the US military because he's useless. You know why that happens, chat? Because in America, we have private military contractors. In China, the military contractor is owned by the government. So if the military contractor makes any profit, that money goes right back into the government. It doesn't go out to third parties. So the expenses remain low. They have a state-run military contractor. So the United States of America is being killed by capitalism. Traditional weapons such as artillery shells, ships, and aircraft will still be crucial to future wars, but the U.S. defense industry has lost the ability to produce them at scale and speed. In the event of a war with China, the United States would rapidly run out of essential munitions, as Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor of the Biden administration, has warned. The Pentagon reportedly expended 1/4 of its overall stockpile of high-altitude missile interceptors helping defend Israel against Iran's ballistic missiles earlier this year. We shouldn't have done that. We should have kept our powder dry and said, Israel, you're on your own on your war against the region. And that was in a war that lasted 12 days. 3 years into the war in Ukraine, the United States can't produce enough Patriot missiles to meet Kyiv's demand. Ukraine isn't being defeated. In Ukraine, the United States military industrial complex is, and they're being defeated by Russia and North Korea. I want you to understand that, chat. The European and American industrial complex is being outmatched by North Korea and Russia. China is neutral. China's not giving a bunch of aid to Russia. They're fucking neutral. They're not giving Russia a bunch of their weapons systems to try. It's fucking over. The American military has resisted change for decades. The Pentagon has not had a strong Secretary of Defense willing to oppose tough choices since Robert Gates, who served Bush and Obama. Former Secretary of Defense Ashton B. Carter, an early recipient of the overmatched brief, instituted multiple pilot projects and experiments in service of reform at the Pentagon to limited effect. John McCain spent years raising the alarm on Capitol Hill only to see Congress continue its support for outdated strategies. Oh, Mike, they are trying to win. They're just spent. I mean, I love this shit. This is fucking awesome. I mean, if you're talking about the American empire collapsing, this is what will collapse it. There are some signs that a current administration may be willing to change. The Army has canceled the unsafe and unreliable M10 Booker light tank and other problematic programs. White House, I mean, we can't even make light tanks, bro. This is so funny, dude. It's so funny. The White House is pushing for an overhaul of the way it buys weapons. Mr. Hegseth has mainly presided over management chaos. Officer, by the way, the thing about the canceling, you may see this and go, Mike, they're canceling. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that a good thing? The answer is, all that's going to happen is they're going to do the same processes again for the next generation system, where they spend all this money on engineering and design, and then nothing gets produced. So they spend billions of dollars on this procurement process, and nothing comes out of it. So it's not like they're canceling this and then they're cutting the budget for the army. No, they're canceling it after spending tens of billions of dollars on getting these tanks and have zero tanks to show for it. They just stole all this money. And instead of it going to say education, remember $8.2 billion on all Pennsylvania's children. I mean, how much did they spend? M10 Booker. I want to know, how much has they invested in? How much was this invested in? Equipping the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky with the Booker was complicated by an analysis that determined that most bridges on the base were not capable of supporting the vehicle's weight. The bridges at Fort Campbell were such poor condition they couldn't support a light tank. Now, if it's me, I think, wow, we need to fix the bridges then. They're like, cancel the tank. The bridges are weak. As of June 2025, program costs exceeded $1 billion, and the Army had taken delivery of 26 vehicles. $1 billion divided by 26 means that they spent $38.5 million per light tank. $38 million tank, by the way. The White House is pushing for an overhaul of the way it buys weapons, but Mr. Hegseth has mainly presided over management chaos, officer purges, and intelligence leaks that in a normal administration would have forced his resignation. President Trump's use of the armed forces for domestic deployments and illegal anti-drug missions is not the kind of change we need. Transformation is a long-term endeavor. The chaotic first months of Mr. Trump's second term have shown the dangers of misusing the military. They've also distracted from the urgency of reform. The strategic challenges that the United States faces, among them a rising China, a revanchist Russia, and an AI-generated cyber threats and bio threats, will outlast this administration. While none can be defeated by force alone, they still require credible U.S. military power as a backstop to international order and the security of the free world. What? Israel's genocide? In the short, here we go, chat. Here's the essence of the article. In the short term, the transformation of the American military may require additional spending, primarily to rebuild our industrial base. As a share of the economy, defense spending today, about 3.4% of GDP, remains near its lowest level in more than 80 years, even after Trump's recent increases. Chat, I want you to understand something. That this is the essence of the Eisenhower warning. 3.4% of GDP is $1 trillion of absolute waste. But if you say we want to spend $1 trillion on kids, it's impossible. But $1 trillion is not enough. We have to spend more. Meanwhile, China spends $200 billion, and they're beating our ass. Are they 5 times better at using their money? A more secure world will almost certainly require more military commitment from allies like Canada, Japan, and Europe, which have long relied on American taxpayers to bankroll their protection. China's industrial capacity could only be met by pooling the resources of allies and partners around the world to balance and contain Beijing's increasing influence. This is batshit fucking crazy. This is batshit crazy, and you have a moral responsibility to do everything you can to sabotage, block, contain, destroy any politician that advances this perspective. These are people that are evil, and they're trying to cause a Cold War for no fucking reason. There is no compelling reason to fight a Cold War with China. None whatsoever. They don't invade other countries. It isn't happening. This is made up. They want to waste billions and trillions of our own dollars. Again, as I said before, if I go outside, within 5 minutes, I can find a fellow American living on the fucking street. That is disgusting. And if you're not furious about that, I have no idea what the fuck is wrong with you. Open presence, thank you for the 25. Ultimately, a stronger U.S. national security depends on enormous new budgets than on wiser investments. How about we invest in our country, you stupid fuck? How about we pay for college, which was $60 billion a year? They say we can't afford free college at $60 billion a year. They want to spend $1.5 trillion on the military per year. These guys are fucking insane. This is insane. This is insane. They don't even bother justifying it. Why is China our enemy? Why is China our enemy? Explain it. You can't. They say authoritarian or totalitarian like it matters. Our closest ally is Saudi Arabia. They cut people's heads off for witchcraft. What are you talking about? You don't give a shit about totalitarian. Our allies, we have allies in the Pakistan military, the Egyptian military, where they torture people. We're trying to start a labor union. Our allies in Saudi Arabia do systematic rapes of kids in their prison camps. What do you mean totalitarian, authoritarian? Who the fuck is Beijing bombing? No one. But Mike, they're making solar panels really cheap and it's not fair. Their wind farms are too cheap. Their electric vehicles are too cheap. We've got to go to war with them. That's the fucking logic. Spending heavily on traditional symbols of might risks shortchanging the true sources of American strength, relentless innovation, rapid adaptability, and willingness to discard old assumptions. Hey, have you thought about a well-educated workforce? Have you thought about good infrastructure? Have you thought about strong national and natural resources? Have you thought about a educated and diverse population? You know, the things that actually make a country strong, you fucking worthless corporate drones. You want inventors, you need educated people. To be clear, the United States needs a stronger military, primarily to deter future wars, not start them. As we rebuild our military, we must pursue diplomacy with our adversaries. At the same time, we need to prepare for the worst. Deterring war is the first goal of any successful strategy to avoid protracted conflict, and we need to address our weaknesses before enemies look to exploit them. Mr. Trump and his administration have received the latest warnings of the overmatched brief. The time for change is urgent. The question is whether we will do so in time. I want you to know, this cope about how we're actually the good guys, we're not the good guys, you fucking loser. Great piece. China has severely outperformed America, producing engineers and scientists with obvious results. They have quickly passed us in solar and EV manufacturing, as well as dramatic infrastructure programs like speed trains, etc., while Trump is pushing for dumbing down of America and attacking our best universities. Then with Trump threatening to annex Canada and Greenland and now eyeing Venezuela, he wipes out any moral superiority America once previously claimed. As this piece correctly points out, we are entering very dangerous waters with a drunk captain at the ship. This is just anti-Trump blather. You're not addressing the actual content of what they say, which is we need to spend a lot more on our military, which I completely disagree. We need to spend a third of what we're doing on the military right now. We need to basically mothball the entire Navy. We don't need it. A review of American military procurement practices is surely needed, as well as an emphasis on cheaper mass-produced arms, as the drone war in Ukraine has shown. Current administration is squandering all of that capital for bizarre reasons. Okay, they're talking about how we need alliances. Let's say, for example, Taiwan gets absorbed peaceably into China. Then what? How many of your lives ended because Hong Kong joined China? How many of your lives changed because Hong Kong joined China? Oh, it didn't matter at all? Oh, it didn't bother you at all? Oh, it didn't affect anything? It was completely fine? So why the fuck do we care about maintaining this Taiwan situation? The answer is because we're an aggressive warmongering country of evil assholes that are trying to create a military exigency to justify trillions of waste. We don't need to care about Taiwan. Let Taiwan and China negotiate their own final settlement agreement, you know, and let China live. Who gives a fuck? The shipping lanes? What? The shipping lanes from whom? This is you right now. This is you. Hold on, I'm finding it. I need to just bookmark this.
So I thought the best way to proceed was to get everyone in the one room.
Good thinking.
Okay, you're all right. I'll come straight to the point. This white paper is recommending we spend close to $400 billion over the forward estimates. Now, at some point, the PM is going to be asked a very simple question. In order to protect us from which enemy?
It's so hard to say.
400 billion, pick one.
A regional player.
Specifically, Colonel?
An Indo-Pacific regional player.
More specifically?
Indo-Asia Pacific.
That's broader. Who are you leaving out?
Europe?
Yeah, I sort of need a country.
Or an unaligned player.
No, a country.
One that might threaten us, just one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to raise tensions.
Where?
In this room.
You know what? I'll name one and you just nod. China. Okay. And what exactly are we protecting?
Strategic interests.
Specifically, Colonel?
Indo-Pacific strategic
Again,
interests.
Brigadier, really specifically.
Indo-Asia Pacific strategic
You know what?
interests.
I'll say it and then you nod. Our trade routes. And who is our #1 trading partner?
Shall we use the nod system?
Sure. China? So under this scenario, we're spending close to $30 billion a year to protect our trade with China from China. And that doesn't strike anyone at this table as odd?
It's just, what can you even say? What can you even say? I keep wanting to watch this video, chat. We're gonna watch it eventually, I swear. But it's 55 minutes long. I keep putting it in the title that we're gonna watch a summary of Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism, because it'll justify and explain everything I've been saying. More Threads has confirmed that it will unveil a new GPU architecture. Oh my God, is China getting into the GPU game? Oh, please, God. Oh, please. Oh, God. I would absolutely love a Chinese GPU. Oh, like shit, if they got into that, they'd be $100 and they'd be so good. Oh, please, China, get into this. You'll never be allowed to buy it, but you could smuggle it. I will go to Mexico. I will drive to Mexico and I will buy them and put them in my fucking laptop bag. I swear to fucking God, I will smuggle these. I swear to fucking God, I will smuggle these. Okay, that was the China rant with Mike from PA. We're done with the China rant. Last China Glaze? Oh, yeah. They're coming out with a new video game. I'm excited for it. 14 Years of Flame. There's no captions, otherwise I would.
如今的繁荣与进步，我们的都是亚细亚同胞兄弟，共保和平，才能大东亚。周队长已经加入了我们，赵兄弟，要是不嫌弃，就请来担任皇协军队长。今天晚上先去喝两杯，然后再。
People keep calling it the KMT game. I mean, obviously, most of the Japanese Chinese fight was against the nationalist side, right? So, I mean, that's just part of history. It's an early trailer, so let's hope it's good. All right. Wow, I'm getting recommended the Nazi nuclear strike on Washington, D.C. from the man in the high... Okay. Interesting. Daily Chinese infrastructure TikTok before you move on. Mike, what's with all the hate on America? What's wrong with 5 AI companies that will give everyone psychotic illness and intellectual disabilities and poison the water supply? It's be so energy demanded that coal power stations reopen. Why is it bad that your leaders are all perverted criminals blackmailed by Israel? Why is this bad? Average Asmongold post.
It's the global renewable energy, and what's behind me is the most unreal living proof. Well, most people think deserts are supposed to be empty in China, but this one is charging up the future. Out here in the middle of the Gobi Desert lies a sea of over 12,000 mirrors, all moving with the sun. They track cells.
I knew it! Solar solar technology is a communist plot. I knew it. We need to use coal and oil.
Sunlight and reflect it onto that 260-meter tower, heated molten salt over 500 degrees Celsius. The molten salt stores heat, which means that place can keep generating electricity even after the sun goes down. This is the Dunhuang Solar Thermal Power Plant, 100 megawatts of pure desert power. During the night or mirrors are not pointing towards the tower, you can actually see the top of it is coated with black heated absorbing material. But it's so bright to a point that you can't even see the black color, you're just seeing it's a different sunlight. Look at the brightness. It's mind-blowing how something so simple and clever can power so much. Standing here, you genuinely feel hopeful. It's like we're still pushing forward, still inventing new ways to tap into clean energy. And the fact that I'm making this trip in a hybrid EV off-roader from BYD just makes the whole experience even more fitting. So in the middle of this desert, you realize the future isn't arriving, it's already here. China dominates the global renewable.
Oh, they have a lot of these same solar farms in the US. Actually, they used to, but unfortunately, some of the technology is being canceled. It's like thermal solar plants closing California. I think they just said this. California shuts down its thermal plant 13 years early, October 7th, 2025. Beginning operations in 2014, the Ivanpah solar plant cost $2.2 billion to build. Its closing operations, with the plant's closure, is not an indication of cost problems for the solar industry. The project was built with $1.6 billion of its construction costs backed by loan guarantees from the U.S. Department of Energy, now shuttering operations more than a decade ahead of schedule. The project is no doubt a financial failure. It also relied on natural gas to sustain operations. What the fuck? God, the Americans are so bad at this. Did you see the U.S. military spending bill guarantees the U.S. will replace any Israeli weapons lost to embargo? U.S. defense bill will fill Israel's weapons gaps caused by embargoes. You understand how the United States of America, without it, Israel cannot exist? That's why it's relevant. That's why everybody should have a position on it. Because without it, without our taxpayer dollars buying their bullets, they can't do their crimes. All right, chat. I want to show you.
So Nick Fuentes,
what I would call the soft left, being bamboozled by Nick Fuentes is one of the most black-pilling experiences of my life. These people are dumber than fucking dirt. I'm sorry, but getting tricked by Nick Fuentes is truly impressive.
Came out and basically told the actual truth about Trump's master plan and what him and his billionaire donors are currently doing in Washington, D.C.
This is what being hyper-fixated on Trump does to a motherfucker.
This is actually spot on. So let's listen, and then we'll break it down. And then as a bonus, I'm going to show you how Nick Fuentes is probably the single most confused man in America. Because
he's not. He's not confused. Why do you liberals do this every fucking time? Why do you do this every time? He's confused, guys. No, he's a contradictory fascist. He doesn't give a fuck. He's just saying what he needs to say to get attention in the moment. It doesn't have to be consistent or even make sense. He's not on your side. I mean, come the fuck on, dude.
All it depends on is what day it is. And he flips a coin to determine if he's going to fucking be giddy about Trump and support him or rail against him and act like he's, pure evil. So let's take a look and we'll break it down.
This is actually their intentional playbook. They're deeply conscientious of this. And this is how it goes. What is happening right now, obviously, is that Trump is more unpopular maybe than ever. Certainly he's more unpopular than at any other time in this second term. His favorability is in the toilet. His approval is in the toilet. Specifically, his approval on immigration and the economy is very bad. For the first time in years, voters actually favor Democrats on the economy over Republicans. People blame Trump for the state of the economy more than they blame Biden. Any way that you cut it, Trump is in real trouble with these numbers. Numbers polling his own base, polling Republicans, independents. Any way you cut it, it is catastrophically bad. And he has only himself to blame. We're cutting Medicaid to pay for corporate tax cuts. Doge was a total failure. We're bombing Iran. Prices have not gone down and the economy has not recovered. The tariffs have been a complete disaster. There are mounting signs all over the economy. We're in a real estate bubble. Consumer spending is slowing. The job market is frozen. They're not even releasing the jobs report in October. On top of all that, they didn't even release the Epstein files. It is a total disaster. That is why he's unpopular, and it's self-inflicted. It is because rather than keep his promises, all that this administration has done is enrich the people that are in it. There is rampant, basically criminal levels of corruption in this government. The very people that Trump brought in to drain the swamp, they're looting D.C. They're taking everything that isn't nailed down practically. They are fucking stealing. They are corrupt. That is all these people. You know, why do you think they brought these people in? Someone like Howard Lutnick and David Sachs and, you know, these people, they are criminals. So this is, and it's important to understand this, contrary to what the true believers, the plan trusters say, this is not actually the result of a political system that is so difficult to overcome that, you know, they can't do it in a matter of 5 years. No, they're not even trying. It is actually for a lack of trying that it is this way. They're not trying. It's a joke. Kristi Noem is a joke. Kash Patel is a joke. Pete Hegseth is a joke. People allegedly are in there blackmailing him. It's like every person in this cabinet is a complete disaster. And the reason it's like this is because it's all patronage. Trump got in office to stay out of jail. He had to cut deals to get money. And now that he's in, he had to reward the donors by allowing them to pick the cabinet members, reward other people in the party with these patronage posts. And now this is what we're getting. So this is an utter and complete catastrophe. There's no deportations. We hit the H-1B cap.
There's no deportation. Oh my God, bro. We're going to come back to that one.
We're in a war with Iran. We're going to go back very soon. It's just.
Okay, so what Kyle doesn't understand is that the United States of America is no longer attractive for immigrants. So the number of people that are coming across the border has declined because the jobs aren't there. There's no economic, there's no economic motivation. People were coming here for jobs. So when you have a lot lower border crossings, then there's a lot more people to just very quickly grab off the street or grab off the border and then, quickly deport. That's what drove the Biden and Obama numbers. They were catching people crossing at the border at high rates. The border crossings have basically fallen off a cliff. So the deportations that are happening are actually much more expensive, difficult, and invasive than that. Catching somebody as soon as they cross the border and sending them back is a deportation or a removal. But that's not very hard to do. It's not very expensive. And you can get a lot of people very quickly. But when you're marching through communities all around the fucking country and ripping people out of their apartments, whether they're American citizens or not, that is expensive and difficult. And so if they're doing that to a lot of people, that is a significant change in our immigration policies. And it is a difference in kind.
It's like one cataclysm after the next. Here's the playbook. It is in this context where Trump posts something like this. Poll numbers down, favorability down the tubes, economy sucks, all these wars are breaking out all over again. Everybody's deeply unhappy. What do? Let it rip with the racism, let it rip with the retard, let it rip with nativism. I know what'll get those stupid idiots back on my side.
Phil has brought me a cup of mango, and it seems to have like mango stuff underneath it. Mango cup. Thank you, Vio. I showed them the tree. They're like, Vio did it. Instantly. They knew you did it.
Do a racist rant. I'm going to go on Twitter and True Social, and I'm going to let it rip.
I love that he's bringing this up as like, all he has to do is some performative cruelty and do a racist rant, and he gets the idiots back on his side. You mean sort of like this?
This is why we need to be negative. This is why we need to threaten to withhold our support. This is why we need to make it unignorable and visible, because if we do, then Trump will be forced to pander to us. And he knows how to do it. Nobody's better than him. We just need to create the impetus for it. And now that has happened, like clockwork, what does Trump do? He dusts off the old playbook and we get Trump 2016 all over again. You're welcome. I'll never get any credit for it, but you are welcome for giving you Trump 2016 back. How do you get the politicians to do what you want them to do? Threaten to withhold support.
So this is Trump went on a massively racist anti-Somali immigrant rant in the White House. And this is Nick Fuentes doing a victory lap, taking credit for applying pressure to him to get him to do that. That's what this video is. And the other video I showed you is him saying, now that Trump has failed in every imaginable way to get the idiots back on his side, he's just doing a racist rant. In one video, he is the idiot. And in the other video, he's critiquing the idiot who will get back on Trump's good side because he did a racist rant. Wow, Nick. It's from one day to the next. Flip like that.
Attack them. Do it from the right. It doesn't matter if you do it from the left. The left is already the enemy. Do it from inside. Do it from within the right wing. That's what they're worried about. And that's the model. Look at how we got Trump to cave in such a short amount of time. And look at how beautifully he delivered.
He delivered beautifully. The guy who's not releasing the Epstein files, who's bombing Iran, who's going to do a war on Venezuela and is already murdering innocent fishermen, who set up fucking concentration camps across the country, who is comically corrupt, the most corrupt president we've ever had, ever, by the way. That guy, oh, look, bro, it's beautiful. It's beautiful what he just did.
He understood the assignment completely. He comes out and says, all these brown people do is bitch in their hijabs and they're ungrateful and they stink and we don't want them here. I mean, it couldn't be better if you dreamed it up. This is out of the wildest imagination of the most obsequious plan truster, and it was delivered to us on a silver platter because we threatened to withhold our support because we said we don't like Trump anymore. And now this is what we get. It's a desperate bid to get our support back. And he knows what to do. He always has. We just need to give him a reason to play that out.
It's incredible. In one clip, he's critiquing the exact person that he is in this clip. It's incredible.
And I'm going to be obnoxious and belligerent and politically incorrect and brash and controversial.
Guys, I think Kyle figured out something. Kyle figured out that fascists are hypocritical. I think we got him.
And I'm going to say something so shocking, so edgy, so ridiculous that everyone is going to be talking about this and not that. Everyone's going to be talking about how I called Tim Walz a retard. Everyone's going to be talking about how I said this about Ilhan Omar. I'm going to pack 15 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag of controversy and rage bait and clip farming so that nobody's going to pay attention to the fact that we didn't even release the October jobs report because it was so bad. No one's paying attention to a war in Venezuela that nobody wants. No one's paying attention to...
You want it. You want it. We covered you saying you were in favor of that. That, oh, well, this is our backyard, so it's different. It's not the same as bombing Iran. You want it. Now all of a sudden, what? You're pretending like you don't? Like there isn't video of you fucking talking about how much you like that? Oh my God.
Black Friday consumer trends being a disaster, the job market failing. No one pay any attention to the complete and utter disaster. Republicans might lose their majority in the House before the midterms because so many people are jumping ship.
That's true, by the way. There's a Puck report that says like 20 Republicans are thinking of retiring.
But don't look at that. Look at my racist rant. Look at my stupid little rant on Truth Social that I'm not actually going to do shit about. I'm not going to follow through on any of it.
Oh, see, you see what the criticism is? The criticism is, bro, we love the racist rant, but now you got to act on it. Now you got to round up all the Somalians and put them into alligator Auschwitz or Guantanamo Bay. Jesus Christ, bro. Here's my response to Nick Fuentes. This is fucking always what right-wing politics collapses into. This is always. There is no version of right-wing politics that doesn't suck off the billionaires and cater to the donors. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Right-wing politics by its very nature is hierarchical. There's an order. There's a way things work. The people at the top.
He's explaining fascism to Nick Fuentes. He's like, Nick, don't you understand that this is the way fascism works? Donald Trump could very well keep the promises to target these scapegoats. What are you talking about, dude? What are you saying? What the fuck are you saying, Kyle? Donald Trump could very easily target Somalis. That would not be inconsistent with conservatism in any way. Like, he's like, see, Kyle wants you to know, Nick, that you can't trust Trump to be as fascist as you want him to be because right-wing politics is hierarchical. What?
Top are supposed to be at the top because the cream always rises to the top. If you're underneath, that's on you. It's a defect. Or it's a lack of work ethic. And so there is no version of right-wing politics that delivers for the people.
Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Nick Fuentes is calling for them to deliver for the people by targeting a minority. Conservatives deliver on that all the time. All the time. What do you mean? If you're talking about the material conditions and transfer of wealth, then yeah, that's true, of course. But what he's calling delivering is nothing like what you call delivering.
But really, this is a little bit of, damn,
Kyle does this thing where he assumes people are being honest actors. It always does his principal credit where it's douche shtick that gives him getting credit to people like Fuentes for a reason. I don't get it.
Mad because we got exactly what we fucking wanted. That's what this is. He said, they're not even doing Really? They're not doing deportation? That's your criticism of Trump? You're not tough enough on immigrants. Excuse you? We have fucking mass kidnappings and abductions and human traffickings. We have no due process from these ICE Gestapo thugs. We have 22 people who died in ICE custody so far. We have literal criminals joining ICE and endless reporting on how there's basically no fucking standards anymore. We have ICE thugs assaulting an 84-year-old married couple and shooting a priest in the face with pepper balls and tear gassing a fucking baby and running over people with cars and tear gassing journalists and cops and zip tying naked kids who were U.S. citizens, by the way. They deported a guy for having cologne, pretending it was like drugs when it wasn't. They literally fucking lynched a guy. We covered how they fucking lynched a guy on the show. And your takeaway is, they're not tough enough on immigrants. What the fuck is this? And then he has the nerve to say, how dare you call me a Nazi? All I did was praise Adolf Hitler multiple times and told Trump he's not right-wing enough on immigration, but I'm not a Nazi. Oh my God, bro. What the fuck? He used to be more honest. You'd be like, man, that's Nazi shit. He'd be like, yeah, of course. Duh. Now you said, don't call me that. Don't call me that. All I want is for Trump to be more right-wing on immigration, even though that's not even fucking possible. They've already raided schools and meatpacking facilities and farms and Home Depots, and they tackled a 79-year-old car wash owner and hospitalized him, and they deported a guy who was wrongfully imprisoned for 40 years. I want them to go further to the right on that issue.
Yes, that's what Nick Fuentes is about. Yes, you got it, Kyle. Nick Fuentes is a Nazi, Kyle. He said he was a Hitler supporter, Kyle.
This is always where right-wing politics becomes. Every single time. It will be super serving the corporations, super serving the billionaire donors. It will always be that. They'll always fuck people over when it comes to their healthcare, when it comes to their wages, when it comes to the fucking regulations, or should I say lack thereof. There are no regulations.
The fundamental issue with liberals, a lack of imagination. He can't imagine it getting worse than it is right now. That's because liberals are status quo oriented, socially oriented individuals. 99% of the time, that is why they believe what they believe. They are just oriented around the way things are and kind of their subjective sense of what we should be nicer. But they're not really thinking about society from the point of view of progress or comparative politics, anything really that challenges fundamentally the way things are. They're more about tinkering around the edges. Liberals are the type of people that want to know how to score better on the test. They are not the type of people that question the utility of the test. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you were to say, like, you know, they want tips on how to navigate systems. They don't want to, like, examine the question of whether the system ought to be the way it is in the first place. And so fundamentally, they just cannot imagine change, real change.
There are no regulations. Trump deregulated deli meat, which led to 9 people being killed and 57 being hospitalized, and we're still dealing with the fallout now because you're going to have more foodborne illnesses pop up. He rolled back 112 environmental protections and deregulated chemicals and water and air. He got rid of routine food safety inspection. We just had metal in grated cheese, and they had to recall 1 million bags of it, all because of their deregulation. They mass fired nuclear safety officials. They cut medical research and scientific research and cancer research. This is always what right-wing politics becomes. Super serve the billionaires, super serve the corporations, fucking warmonger everywhere, and be fascist. Build concentration camps, deport people. This is what it is. So now you don't get to come out here and be like, oh, things aren't going well. Well, yeah, you voted for the guy who was like, I'm going to make things worse. So now he's making things worse. And now, in an attempt to fucking get out of that, this isn't true right-wing politics. True right-wing politics is my idea of right-wing politics, which is Trump being even further right-wing on immigration, which obviously that would solve the problem. I genuinely and sincerely need right-wingers to grasp this point. If immigrants were really the problem, why hasn't your life improved massively within this first year of Trump's regime? I mean, again, we could go through the list again if you want, but they are absolutely going ham on immigrants. They are rounding up innocent people. They legalized the Supreme Court at that, legalized racial profiling. They're arresting people left and right, deporting people for fucking writing op-eds critical of Israel and shit. So they're super duper right wing, but everybody's life is getting worse. Inflation's getting worse. Unemployment's getting worse. There's about to be a fucking AI apocalypse where the tech broligarchs say they want a fucking machine to steal your job. We've cracked down on the immigrants, but your life is getting worse. It's almost like the immigrants aren't the fucking problem. It's almost like the problem every step of the way has been the billionaires. It's the billionaires, it's the warmongers, and it's the fascists who have no interest in actually improving your life, getting you free healthcare, getting you free college, wiping out your medical debt, getting you higher wages, getting you a 4-day work week, getting Social Security for all. There you have it. I mean, he did. This is like now the 28th time he turned on Trump. But as you see, he'll always like turn back. Then he'll turn on Trump again, then he'll turn back. And round and round and round we go. The bottom line is, right-wing politics are not the answer. They've never fucking been the answer. All you're going to get is super serving the billionaires and the corporations and screwing over the working class and doing more fucking warmongering and fascism. And everybody will be more miserable. Everybody will be more poor. And everybody will be going, holy shit, I guess we should have went in a left-wing direction. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications.
I like Kyle. The Nick Fuentes, like, I'm going to have conversations with Nick Fuentes thing is just whistling through the graveyard. It's like debating Hitler. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are you doing? What are you doing? There was a clip, if you guys could find it for me, of Asmongold watching Nick Fuentes on his stream and then saying that it was based. This is how he's always spoken when reacted to clips. I think his commentary is more geared toward normies and libs. Let's just say I disagree with it. I don't think that you should treat Nick Fuentes as some sort of good faith interlocutor that you're going to have a debate over because he said a couple bad things about Israel, which he has no problem with Israel. Nick likes Israel. He wants to emulate Israel. Don't you understand that? Didn't he say that in his conversation? He's not an ally against Israel.
Hitler was very fucking cool. Hitler was very fucking cool.
Yes, I do.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Based, GigaChat, Kekel, based, LOL, based, yes.
Yes.
He's nodding. He's nodding. There he looks off camera. Wait, Asmongold, I thought you were just a centrist. I thought you weren't a Nazi. I just said you were a right wing and you're an intellectual coward the other day and you had a shit fit. I thought, wait, based, haha, yes. Oh my God, based, capital based, get cooked, Pierce, LOL. What happened? I thought you were a centrist, guy. Hitler's a centrist now, I guess.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
Well,
to be honest.
This is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist. You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking? You think...
Bro, we didn't shift the Overton window. We burned down the house. We burned down the whole motherfucking neighborhood. Oh my God. This is crazy.
I have a Shure SM7B and I have like this OBS bot camera, I think is what I'm running
Crazy.
right now.
Yeah, this is nuts. I saw another clip about this too with no insurance. Yes, and no survivors. And all or nothing. No, there was another clip about this too. Here we go.
This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks.
I've seen it. You've seen it. We've all seen it.
Just take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Wait, I thought that... Is there no rules on Twitch anymore? Like, listen... If there's going to be no rules, then I'll say what... Can I say what I want to say? If there's no rules, can I say what I want to say right now? Can I say what I want to say? If there's absolutely no rules, can I say what I want to say right now? Am I allowed to say what needs to be done? Or are we still following rules here?
And we would live...
I'll get banned.
In paradise. It's that simple.
Man.
I think we should arrest and imprison every single Nazi or anybody who says based. We should go and investigate every single person who said based, and they should be put in prison. That's my opinion. What do you guys think about that opinion?
Okay.
He's just nodding.
Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true.
By the way, Asmongold and these guys used to cry and whine and complain and say, not everybody that you disagree with is a Nazi. Not everybody is a racist and a misogynist, blah, 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 blah. Bro said that women shouldn't be able to leave the house or vote and that we should arrest all black people and the country is run by Jews. So why were you guys so up your own ass about these things 5 minutes ago, whining and crying like a little bitch? Just embrace it. Say what you're going to say. And please, the other thing is, say it outside, off the internet. Let's start seeing you say it. I want to see you out in the streets, Asmongold, and I want you to start saying it. Ethan Klein spent money to get apologies for this Nazi. Yeah, I know. That's the funny thing. That's super funny. 5 minutes after he forced... Casey Tron played Ethan Klein so badly. It's incredible, chat. Speaking of playing Ethan Klein so badly, if you enjoyed this stream, please consider supporting it by subscribing. Every single time you subscribe to this stream, you piss off all of these motherfucking losers. You can subscribe at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you can attach it to your Twitch account. You get 1 free sub a month. That's your Twitch Prime sub. Now they're all pathetic cowards. They only talk this kind of shit when they have the security of being behind a computer screen, having the resources to fuck over other people, etc. Singang Super, thank you for the 10 tier 1s. Hell yeah. Quarks After Dark, thank you for the tier 1. Metalheads Chad, thank you for the tier 1. Mike, will you be going over the FBI stuff? Yes. Anyway, chat, if you enjoy the content, please consider supporting it. We have a hype trade going on right now. The top sub gifter, top bit donor, get the conductor badge next to their name, which is a golden locomotive next to your name. We're dangerously close to 7,000 subs. Clear Games, thank you for the 20 bomb. We're at 69.33. Dangerously close to 7,000. Ham and Fist, thank you for the 20 bomb. I forgot the shill yesterday. I appreciate all of you. Let's keep going. By the way, not one person in his chat said, whoa, Hitler isn't based? What the fuck? Hitler killed millions of innocent civilians and children. Not one person said, wow, that's gross. How come Asmongold, not one of your chatters thinks it's bad to celebrate Hitler? Easy, all true, pretty simple, based, holy, base W, Nick goated. That's a little based. Merry fucking Xmas. W Nick. Damn SC. What a massive W. Wait, what happened? I thought your audience was full of a bunch of normie moderates. What happened?
The old media technique of shaming people doesn't work when they're not ashamed.
Yes, when you're a shameless fucking loser and you have absolutely no connection to civil society. By the way, Chad, I'm very well aware of this. I believe in using force against the right. I want to be honest. I believe in using force against the right. All right. I am exactly what they're afraid of. I'm a democratic socialist, sure, but I believe in using force against the right. I think they should be arrested for being Nazis. I think fascists should be arrested and put in mental institutions. I believe that. And if I had power, I would do it. That's my viewpoint. I think that if you're a billionaire, you should be arrested. There are no legitimate billionaires. That's my personal view. Until we can catalog all of your secret bank accounts around the world and we could expropriate, there should be no billionaire. That is my personal view. That's it. I'm not ashamed to say that, and I don't think shame is going to work on you. By the way, chat, Asmongold, we have a diagnosis for you. It's called Diogenes syndrome, although that's a misnomer. It's really called senile squalor syndrome. We know what's wrong with you, Asmongold. Senile squalor syndrome. Also, can Dr. K explain to me how you talk to Asmongold for hours and you don't mention his hygiene and the fact he's surrounded by vermin and filth as a multimillionaire? Like, how are you a fucking psychiatrist and you don't talk about his senile squalor syndrome that is the most famous case of the entire fucking country? How much of a hack can you be and not notice that he's got senile squalor syndrome? Like, honestly. Is it just farming for clout, or like, is there any kind of psychiatric training that's being practiced here?
The entire shame apparatus has failed. It's fallen apart.
By the way, it hasn't. That's the thing that's funny. Human beings experience shame when we do something wrong, and we will continue to feel shame. Now, there are people who are shameless, and a society that rewards shamelessness gets more shamelessness. And there is an attention economy where people get bites of attention for being shameless. But most of the time, it's just humiliating and you get very little out of it. There's a few people that profit, Asmongold, Nick Fuentes, but most shameless people are just punished.
It doesn't work anymore.
Arresting billionaires is overkill, and it goes against your earlier statements that the oppressed do not turn into oppressors when the oppression stops. What we need to do is take all these rich shitheads and make them live in the world they created. They get subsidized housing if they snap and all that fun stuff, and they ever have 2,000. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't want to keep billionaires in prison forever. They will become functional members of society. Like Puyi is my ideal. What the Chinese Communist Party did to the former emperor, the last emperor of China, is what I want to do with Elon Musk. Elon Musk could be a janitor at NASA. Okay, because that's all he's qualified to do. He can walk around sweeping the floor because he's not a fucking rocket engineer. That's what he should be doing.
That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
This is where you talk about...
By the way, chat, notice like Asmongold laughs because he's a dumb fuck. And this is the entire right-wing political strategy, is to appeal to 15-year-old boys through transgressive behavior. Now, I'm an adult man, and presumably Asmongold isn't a man too. This transgressive shit does not impress me. You know what I mean? Like, somebody saying an F slur and the N-word or being misogynist, what, I've heard it a quadrillion times. It's not surprising. It's not transgressive. It's banal at this point. We've all seen it. Nobody's surprised by it. Nobody's impressed by it. And honestly, nobody's offended by it. Like, nobody's breaking down into tears because you said a mean thing about women. Okay. Now, you might dogpile and pile on and threaten an individual woman and that or person, and that feels really bad. But as far as society-wide, nobody is fucking impressed by this. No one is shocked by this. It's like walking into an elevator and farting. Nobody is shocked that happened. It's just unpleasant. And you look like a fucking dirtbag. And everybody dislikes you. But it's not some sort of earth-shattering thing. And it's not even that funny. It's not surprise. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's just pathetic. It's like, what are you doing, scumbag? This guy's a fucking scumbag. And we all move on. Nobody cares. That's why you're alone in your room 24/7, Asmongold, you fucking friendless loser. The only friends you have are people you have to pay. God damn, that's embarrassing.
The way he says it.
Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh wow. So we're already, yeah. Jesus, guys. So we're already in a whole different world now. We are all the way in a different world. And yeah, he's okay with women shutting up. I mean, Pierce is okay with women shutting up. I think a lot of guys are. So the gloves are off. Yeah. And the thing is, bro, when we watch, maybe tomorrow, maybe we watch.
I wonder what Emiru thinks of this, or Emiro, or whatever her name is. I don't know. I don't watch her content, so I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, Asmongold has been. We got to do a stream. Does he want me to reach out to him?
I think that we might have to wait till next year for that one. I don't know if Twitch is ready for that one yet.
Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, Choward. I'm sorry, chat. I've been trying to not say that anymore. Coward. Do it. Stream with Nick. Stream with Nick. What's the matter? What's the matter? Just stream with Nick. Come on. Don't be such a coward. You agree with him. You think it's based. Have your talk about what you would do to the Jews or whatever. By the way, 5 minutes ago, this guy was trying to cancel us because we don't support the genocide in Gaza. He was trying to say we're anti-Semitic and we should be deplatformed for being anti-Semitic.
I will say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But I don't know if when is sooner than later. I know the position that I'm in.
I want you to understand something, chat. I have never seen somebody who is less in touch than Asmongold, and when the anti-Trump, anti-right-wing crash happens, which it's currently happening, Donald Trump's approval ratings are falling through the floor, and the economy hasn't even crashed yet, and it will. People like Asmongold will be lucky they are like. There's going to be a reckoning for these guys. There's going to be a reckoning, and listen. If you're not a student of history, you should look into the Cultural Revolution. You should look into the Chinese land reform movement, and you'll understand that these rich, disgusting fascists, when there's a reckoning, there's a reckoning. If you see what happened to the fascists after World War II in Italy, there is a reckoning for the fascists in Yugoslavia. I mean, hell, like this, like there is a clapback. There is a reckoning. People will want to be like, hey, Asmongold, isn't that guy that Nazi? And, the bot farms that are propping up Asmongold, there is no he doesn't have cultural cachet. If I go on TikTok, there are just not Asmongold shit going viral because people don't like this guy. Like it is a reality. He's just not on there. And when he is, it's all making fun of him. People are going, based.
Yeah, and he's gonna be.
I mean, there's an Asmongold fan account. They haven't posted since 2022.
Exclusively streaming on Mixer again. Here we go, guys. Let's watch it.
Watch it, guys. Oh, here we have him.
I am more proud of this tweet than any other tweet that I have previously done.
I got more compliments in 2 hours being a woman last night than I've received in my entire streaming career being a man. And there you have it, chat. There you fucking have it. There is the essence of it. God, Asmongold, are you... We'll come back to that, chat. We'll come back to that. I want to keep that in my quiver. We'll come back to that.
It really is just hose mad. Asmongold fans cry, you call him a Nazi? Oh, I'm a Nazi again. As Mein Kampf, it really is just hose mad.
Asmongold smiles and nods as Nick Fuentes tells Piers Morgan that Hitler was cool and black people belong in prison. Watches chat on the right erupt with joy and support. As Mein Kampf routinely praises Fuentes. They plan to collaborate, but he cries when I call him a Nazi. Because he is a fucking Nazi. He's a fascist, whatever you want to call it. It is what it is. He and his editor made a huge stink about me calling him a Nazi. Hundreds of his fans replied to me crying about how he's not a Nazi, and yet this is how he chat looks. Absolute cowards. And if it wasn't clear already, Asmongold really likes Fuentes. Asmongold's mother was even a fan of Fuentes. She was one of his earliest fans, according to Asmongold. Hey, chat, you know what? I want all of us to just sit with the thought. I'm going to transmit a thought to all of you. I want you all, are you guys receiving my thoughts right now? Are you guys getting it? I could really use a smoke, chat. I used to smoke. You know, I quit. But for some reason, I feel like I could really go for a cigarette right now. I quit a long time ago. I quit 10 years ago. I really go for one. There's nothing like a cigarette. You know what I mean? One of the best parts of a cigarette is just like you go outside and it's like fall or winter and it's crisp outside and you huddle there in your coat. You're just outside and there's that breeze and you have that nip in the air and you're in a circle with a bunch of your other smokers protecting each other from the wind and you're just taking a nice drag. It's quiet. It's quiet outside. You know, inside in the party or the bar, it's loud. You can't hear each other talk. I had so many great conversations with a cigarette in my hand. So many relationships started. I love a smoker. I do, but I quit because it's bad for you. And you know who I know agrees with me? Asmongold's mom.
Did you see the clip from Asmongold saying he'd be interested in doing a stream with you? Have you spoken to him since the legendary Trainwrecks debate stream? He also said his mom used to watch your show before she passed.
Really?
Hands emoji.
Well, that's
true.
Nice. I really pray for him since his father passed.
It's appreciated. Thank you.
That is. So
I really do pray for his father, who was a fan of Hassan's, if I remember correctly. How do you think Asmongold would take the fact that his father was more of a fan of Hassan's political takes than his? I wonder if that rolls around in his head at all, that he's kind of supernaturally cucked now. Like at no point could his father will never say, I now agree with my son more than Hassan. So forever and always, we are Asmon's dad. We are Asmon's dad. We are all Asmon's dad.
I'm really
what a
with
nice
him in
guy.
That way. I'm praying for him and his father also and his family. But no, I haven't spoken with him since Trainwrecks. It'd be great to do. I don't know how we would set that up,
especially on
maybe
Twitch.
I'll reach out to him. I don't want.
Asmon Dad's last message was wishing happy birthday to Hassan in his chat. That's so cute.
Be too forward.
He was a good guy. I miss Asmon's dad. I know he was working hard to try to turn his son's life around, but senile squalor syndrome is a hell of a drug. It's hard. It's hard. Senile squalor syndrome is hard. You know, and Asmongold has never left his parents' house. He's still in that same filthy attic, even though they're all gone. They tried. Senile squalor is it's a difficult condition, chat, because one of the symptoms of senile squalor syndrome is the patients often resist help. You know, that's the thing. Most individuals with the syndrome do not get identified until they face this stage of collapse due to their predilection to refuse help from others. So senile squalor syndrome, you know, that Asmongold has, one of the symptoms is refusing help from others. And I know his father tried really hard to get him out of that fucking situation of mold and filth and pests and rotten trash, but he just couldn't do it. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Now that he's gone, you know, I know that I'm sure it's some of his, you know, it is what it is. It's rough. It's rough.
I'd love to do a stream with Asmongold.
That would be
he's
funny.
Very good. I think he's one of the better streamers that's at the top right now.
Nick Fuentes is truly a born sycophant. He used to suck up to destiny. He's a born sycophant.
That's appreciated.
You
Wow,
got,
what a
like,
nice guy.
You got Hassan.
Oh,
He's
God.
terrible. XQC, I think he's the biggest streamer in the world right now.
XQC's the guy.
One of the finest ones. I think he's really pushing people in a good direction. Kind of reminds me of PewDiePie in that way.
Back in the day.
Very like responsible. And I'm not trying to glaze, but I don't know that Asmongold is 100% ideologically aligned, but he seems to be just like generically a good guy and responsible with this platform. So
I try to be.
I would love to.
Nick Fuentes is saying you're responsible with your platform. What a pathetic worm.
To talk
What a
to
nice guy.
Henry Adams sent $100.
Yeah, what a nice guy. Yeah, I appreciate.
This is for everybody who's like, oh, Asmongold, Mike, he's actually, you should try to win him over. You should try to win him over, guys. We got to win over Asmongold. I have a way of winning him over. I'm imagining winning him over right now. I know you are too. We should all join together and imagine winning over Asmongold.
Appreciate it, Nick. And yeah, I remember, bro, like I remember walking in, my mom was listening to Nick, and this is like back in the day. This is like 2020.
Now I want another cigarette. I'm having trouble with the cravings today, chat. The smoking craving. There's nothing that could keep me from getting a cigarette. But thankfully, I don't have any. I just really want a cigarette. Look at all the people with the Peepo Smile smoke times. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like smoke time right now.
21, right? And so yeah, she was in it. She was in on it on the ground floor. I do really appreciate it. Thank you, Nick. And what a nice guy.
All I can say, ladies and gentlemen, is you gotta quit smoking. You gotta quit smoking. It's bad for you. Does anybody have what I'm looking for right now, chat? I can't seem to find it. Is Pierce Morgan making fun of Nick Fuentes because he said he's a virgin? Oh, here it is. I retweeted it. Beautiful.
Just to clear up one of the many theories about you, I've no idea what the answer is, and you haven't got to answer. But are you actually attracted to women?
I am attracted to women.
You're not gay.
But I will say that women are very difficult to be around.
Okay.
So
you're not straight, man. You're not straight. I will tell you this, chat. Really, women are the only pleasant people to be around. Like, think about your life. Think about all the people you know. Think about the people that have made you feel the most supported, that have done the nicest things for you, that are the most emotionally intelligent, the people that spend most of their effort on helping other people. Think about what percentage of those people are women and what percentage of the people are men. Now think of all the assholes, all the people that fucked you over, all the people that neglected you, all the people that didn't provide you what they said they were going to provide you, all the people that screwed you over. What percentage of those are men? I rest my fucking case. I rest my fucking case. It doesn't mean that all women are good and all women are bad, but let's be fucking for real. Okay, like, women are tough to be around. Have you met the average male Zoomer? Let's be honest.
There's that.
And do you think they should have the right to vote?
If you were saying, Mike, you have the opportunity to spend a week with 7 women versus 7 men, I would pick the 7 women knowing nothing else but that fucking statement. I'd pick the 7 women every single time. Okay? 7 random women or 7 random men. I'm picking the 7 women every time. It's not even a choice. And I don't think there's a single sane person that picks men. I don't think gay men would pick men. If you offered them 7 random men or 7 random women, I think gay men would pick the women. It's not even sexual. It's not even about sex or anything like that. It's like spending time with 7 random strangers. I would pick 7 random women, and it's not even close. He is not attracted to women. He's not straight. He just isn't. Men, at least from my generation, I don't know how the new generations are, but men yearn. If you're straight, you yearn. You're like, I love women. Women are fucking great. If you don't feel that yearning, you're not straight. I mean this. Like, if you're not like, okay, when you're a straight man, you are like, okay, it's a lean forward. In our society, men are trained to lean forward and be the initiators in relationships and conversations. That requires you to get over a certain pump of fear, of social fear. If you don't like being around women, you're not straight, because you're never going to get over that hump. You're never going to get over that hump of, I get rejected or whatever. It takes yearning in your soul to get over that. It takes like, I desire a relationship to get over that fear. Now, it's not saying that it has to be that way or women should never approach men. I'm not saying anything like that. Calm down. I'm pre-butting dumb shit that's people are typing right now. Mike is Ayatollah posting. No, I'm Mal posting. Women hold up half of the sky, if not more, to be honest. This is Nick Fuentes, and it is a classic example of a homosexual fascist. This goes back to the Nazi Party with Ernest Röhm. They are so misogynistic and so enamored with masculinity that it is a psychosexual fixation, and it is a way that they have reconceptualized their own homosexual urges into ideology. And he takes his disdain and lack of attraction to women, and he reconceptualized that into domination of women and calling for segregation of women to the domestic sphere. It's because he cannot handle that he's gay. Now, this is dark woke. This is me going off, this is me just saying it, but I'm sorry. If somebody says, are you gay? But but I don't like women. I don't like to be around women. I'm sorry, but you're fucking gay. That's insane. That's insane. Men commit 95% of the violent crimes in this country. What do you mean you don't want to be around women? They're hard to be around. What are you talking about? Every time I go to a bar, do you know what you have to do if you're street smart, chat? Every time I go to a dive bar, I look around at all the guys in the room and I go, who is the fucking creep? I don't have to go to a dive bar and go like, ooh, which of the women are going to do something fucking unhinged? It's just basic practice. Especially if you frequently go to places with women, which Nick does not do. I can count on one hand the number of times women have ruined the night out. Every single time you go out, you will see a man acting up. Every time. If you go to like a large bar or you go to a dive bar. It happens all the fucking time.
I do not. No, absolutely not.
They should stay at home?
I do not. No.
Okay.
So there's that.
And do you think they should have the...
I am attracted to women.
Just to clear up one of the many theories about you, I've no idea what the answer is and you haven't got to answer. But are you actually attracted to women?
I am attracted to women.
You're not gay?
No, but I will say that women are very difficult to be around.
Okay.
So there's that.
And do you think they should have the right to vote?
I do not. No, absolutely not.
They should stay at home?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
See, basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm the boomer. I know I'm the boomer here, but actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick Fuentes? All women.
I am.
All women are annoying. All women grow old. They all get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the.
Where I come from, that makes you a fucking loser. All right. I'm not hating. By the way, I'm not hating on. Pre-butting the annoying wokes. Here I go. I'm not saying being asexual is bad. If you're asexual and you have no desire to have sex, that's totally okay. You live your life. I am not judging you. Okay, now that that's out of the way, where I come from, if you say you're straight and you say that you're attracted to women and you say that you value heterosexual domesticity, and you're 27 fucking years old and a virgin, you're a fucking loser. Didn't he do sex stuff with Destiny? He can't be serious. He had sex with Destiny. Okay, let me just clear this up real quick. As far as I know, it's only unconfirmed rumors that he had sex with Destiny. I don't believe, unless Destiny came out and said they had sex, I don't believe that they had sex. There are videos that don't have distinguishing marks as far as I know. Also, it depends on what the definition of sex is, right? Like, does getting a bro job from Destiny count as sex in Nick's mind? I don't know. Let's just say there's a lot of allegations and circumstantial evidence that Nick has had gay sex, and there's no such evidence that he's had straight sex. That's kind of the step we're at. We know that he spent the night with Catboy, a famous twink prostitute. And they streamed together, and we know that he spent a lot of time with Destiny, who is bisexual, and there was rumors that they had sex, but I'm not sure I can confirm that.
Guy who's never got laid. Says the guy, have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy who's never got laid.
And by the way, chat, this is how I know Nick Fuentes is an internet creation of an Asmongoldian sort. I mean, maybe cultures have changed and the young men are awoke now and they're pro-asexual or saving themselves or whatever. But when I was growing up, never having a girlfriend and never fucking was a cause to be made fun of and be considered a loser. Which takes us to our next video from the Majority Report.
Milo Yiannopoulos goes on Tim Pool's show. Now, Yiannopoulos was just on another show. What show was that? Tucker? Was it with Tucker?
He was on Tucker.
Was it with he claimed that maybe Charlie Kirk was gay?
That was also on Tim.
Okay. He did this on Tim Pool's show. He said that in passing that he thought that Charlie Kirk was gay.
I would just say, look at the text that he sent to Candace Owens about Nicki Minaj.
And what that, I think, is what he said, is that he was talking about...
Because I was like, I saw the text, I'm like, wait a second.
They were girls.
Like that is not what a straight man would text. Now, this is what Milo Yiannopoulos decides to go all in. Earlier in this, he mentions that Charlie Kirk was gay. George Santos is on this show, and he can't believe that Milo Yiannopoulos is saying this. And then Milo Yiannopoulos also says, repeats the claim that Benny Johnson is gay. Now,
oh, come on.
There has been a lot of people who have made this claim on the internet. On X. And so it's not terribly shocking to hear Yiannopoulos say this, but here he is getting indignant about it.
One of the most distinctive things about the right wing in this country is its homosexual overtones. Benny Johnson posts pictures of his children every 2 days. It's weird. And everybody knows what went on with Benny Johnson in those lobbies and in those hotel rooms at SAS. Everybody knows.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Pause it for a second. SAS is student action something. It's like a it's a TPUSA event.
I do like
Student
how
Action Summit. Now go back a little bit here because
Santos is trying to act above it because he can't make any enemies right now.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's gotta be like Andy Cohen.
I know. I know you were fun when you were messy. Now you're just like there.
Yeah. Lobbies and in those hotel rooms at SAS. Everybody knows.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Men, younger men, not underage. At least I don't know that. His wife was crying drunk in the lobby 3 SASs in a row about how her husband was upstairs with boys.
Come on.
But go ask her.
Come on.
Go ask her.
Come on, Milo.
Go ask her.
Milo, aren't you ever scared of getting sued? You say some crazy... I'm sitting here like I am humbled by the lore and your ability
audacity
to... there's no teapots in this room right now to express how I feel.
George, I have said these things about people for 20 years and never once in my career been sued. I've issued 3 corrections in my entire journalistic career because I get my facts right and people know that they do not want to go through discovery.
Actually, I want to say this.
I've never been sued for anything I've ever said about anyone.
The one thing I need to say this.
Because I'm right.
The most terrifying thing about Milo.
No one contradicted it. It seems like Tim Pool moved on, and then George Santos was like, "Are you worried about getting sued?"
Now this is in response to. Let's show the Benny Johnson. Then, his wife, Kate, I guess is her name, tweets out something that implies she's going to sue Milo Yiannopoulos. I mean, it's so gossipy and stupid. But the fact of the matter is that like Benny Johnson was important enough for the Russians to pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars as well as Tim Pool and whatnot.
He's a mouthpiece for Trump.
And so, this is going to be relevant on some level. Any time they're spending on this is times that they're not doing bad things for the country.
Demonizing Somalis.
Exactly. And so here's Benny Johnson responding after his wife. He says, I am duty bound to take action.
What a masculine
no pun
man.
intended.
Here's what's so weird about this. Incidentally, there's a great study that shows like all the, we'll talk about this piece more in the future, but that the traditional, the the trad wife stuff that's going on, that like men want like gender roles to be protected, actually inhibits the number of children that people have, because women don't want to be stuck with having to do all the work for kids, broadly speaking. And so when these guys have these traditional male, this is what a real man does, the majority of women are like, that just sounds like you don't want to do any of the work around the house. You just leave it to me. So bye. Anyway, so here's Benny Johnson. I am duty bound. I got news for you. I can't think of something more performative than the idea that I am duty bound. Yeah. Like, it's, you're going after my family, I'm going to mess with you, but because I don't like it.
Good
Not because
Sir
I am duty bound to pretend I am a actual husband.
Right. This role that has been assigned to me is one that I must play for you on the internet.
I'm obligated now.
Yes.
Because of the...
Yes, I am obligated by the... Okay, so I am duty bound to take action to protect my family against those who maliciously defame and attack us. More to come on that. Now he's saying us, because I think Milo also said that his wife was a swinger or something.
And that she looked old.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if that's, I think that's more of an opinion. So attack us. More to come on that soon. Pray for healing for some really sick and delusional people. Jesus is about redemption. The legal system is about justice. Happy Sunday.
He didn't say which part of that was defamatory, just throwing that out there. It could have been
more to come, Emma.
More to come. I can't wait.
And here is Milo responding to them. Dear free speech warrior Benny, dear Kate, a few notes for your consideration. I know more about defamation than any lawyer you will hire. Benny is a public figure. Malice is a non-starter. I have receipts, and the truth is a total defense against any claim of defamation or libel. Do you want to lose a defamation case to Milo Yiannopoulos, of all people, about whether or not you are gay? Do you want to even fight one? The people who have poured money into making you a big deal are about to lose their entire investment. Putin. Now, here's the thing, is that Milo Yiannopoulos on an earlier trip to...
Benny Johnson, by the way, chat, there have been gay rumors about Benny Johnson for decades. And many of them were given fresh fuel when Benny Johnson complained about how he was getting advertisements on militarytimes.com about gay cruises. But those are targeted ads based on your browsing history.
Tim Pool said at one point, right-wing talkers, it's all about faking it until you make it. And he implied, if not explicitly said, that there was a lot of like fake.
Here it is, chat. Love when conservative podcaster Benny Johnson complained about seeing ads for a gay cruise without realizing that the ads were customized based on your search history. The advertising on Military Times right now, the world's largest gay cruise. Get on board.
Viewership for Ben Shapiro. Now, we know...
Milo Yiannopoulos said that?
Yes. This was the last time he was on Tim Pool. And we know that Ben Shapiro spent millions of dollars advertising on Facebook. I think that was about 5 years ago. And now his audience is cratering. And it may be the case that that was always just sort of like... there was a mythical audience.
It's a money mirage.
But the Daily Wire just doesn't have the resources that it may be used to, because they spend all of their money on those
Lady Ballers,
children's TV shows. And Lady Ballers was actually successful for them, right? Yeah. It was the children's programming that sunk them. That it turns out kids want to watch like Bluey and Miss Rachel and not whatever bespoke conservative propaganda your parents subscribe to.
The people who have poured money into making you a big deal are about to lose their entire investment. I know more about your marriage than you think I do.
Oh my God. what?
And I have evidence. And I have witnesses.
Wow.
I know who to subpoena. I know what questions to ask about nocturnal liaison dangereuse.
Ghostwriting for him?
Dangerous. Is it liaison dangerous? With chaps, assless chaps about being caught in flagrant delicto at conferences attended by students, some of whom may have been under 18. I guess we'll find out.
Wow.
It was a student action summit.
Wow.
Nobody cares about you, Kate. I'll say this. It was shitty of me to say you look old. I am a shitty person. I'll delete that if you want and apologize. It doesn't make me feel awesome to look back at those tweets. But you do look old.
Milo Yiannopoulos is a petty guy who was gay but has been in conversion therapy for like 4 years, and I think he's full up to the gills, if you get what I'm saying. And there's a lot of bitterness that needs to be sucked out that is not being sucked out.
You look hideous. You look twice your age. Apparently you agree because you just took the video down that I took a screenshot from today.
Oh my God. So he'll delete the tweet calling her old, but just so you know, you look old and hideous and twice your age.
It makes me a C word to call you old looking, but it's not something you can sue over in America. If you're raw about people saying you're a swinger, maybe don't be a swinger, girl. Strange how rumors just take on a life of their own, especially given how notoriously prudish nurses are.
This is literally a storyline on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Discovery will destroy your career beyond any possibility of redemption, Benny, which has never been my intention and never in my heart, because I believe that family is making you a better man, as I think it did Charlie Kirk. But this will be the inevitable result of your actions. I just want you to be honest because I believe that it's important, and I believe that it is in the public interest to report on people who present one way and act another.
I mean, damn, dude. Like, Milo has delivered a mortal blow here. Like, I'm sorry, but seems like he's got silver spot is at 61. I'm scared. That's insane.
There's an easy way out of this. Honestly, just tell your viewers who you are and what you've done and how you got better, if you have. You could be an inspiration to millions. Tell you what, I'll pledge to you right now, I'll cover the first $10,000 of your therapy with Dr. Nicolosi. That must be the doctor that converted Milo.
Made him so not gay anymore.
Made him not gay anymore. Where is it?
Dr. Joseph Nicolosi.
Mom! Why did you do that to me?
Yes,
that is a clip from a famous interview with somebody who'd gone through the therapy and was showing how he got rid of his gayness by taking a tennis racket and smacking a couch. That was back.
That could be you, Benny.
That could be you.
Inspiration to all of us.
So I will cover the first 10,000 of your therapy with Dr. Nicolosi. Now, I wonder if that means that Milo's saying he needs a lot of therapy, or whether Dr. Nicolosi is very, very, very expensive treatment.
I saw on Wikipedia, yeah, he's the leading conversion therapy guy in the United States, it appears.
Kate's ravenous mossy bank will have to take care of itself.
Or was. He's dead. Sorry. Go on.
Oh my gosh. Put this back up there. I know what that means. So with Dr. Nicolosi, Kate's ravenous mossy bank will have to take care of itself.
Mossy bank.
I think he's talking. I think he's referring to her vagina. I think he's referring to her vagina.
I think I know what that means.
Mossy in
I have
British
no idea.
slang.
I have no idea, really.
Old-fashioned, dull, or slow. Okay.
He means hairy. He means hairy. He's talking about the hairy mons pubis. Come on, guys.
I wonder if that's a euphemism for...
Of course it is. He said she's old. That's what I'm saying. Mossy, and then the bank is her genitalia.
That's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so he's basically saying, like, she's not getting any conversion therapy for being a swinger. That's what he's saying there. Or we can both spend millions and I'll win. Is that really what you want? Yours in Christ or kisses? I guess that depends on what day of the week it is. Your friend, Milo.
He said country with the K, and says he's prayed the gay away, Milo Yiannopoulos, or are we still...
I think that's kind of like just a premise for a bit at this point.
It's gotta be, right?
Yeah. It sort of always has been. Like, you remember when he said his, like, what he had a gay black fiance, but now that's his, like, live-in servant or something like that.
No, wait a second.
It's all performance.
This is not over yet, because we still have one more tweet that has jumped into the fray, and of course, we're talking about Laura Loomer.
Yes.
This is number 13. This is Laura Loomer, who is responding to Milo, who said on Tim Pool that Charlie Kirk was gay.
And that video is at the bottom of this tweet if you want to check.
Well, let's play that clip. Yeah.
Entered into the record here.
Yeah. So listen. We try not to do these gossipy things, but these are all big political voices in the Republican Party. This is, in many respects, the brain trust. And Laura Loomer is, of course, one of Donald Trump's top advisors.
MTG's
TPUSA was one of the biggest operators of the Get Out the Vote for Trump in 2024. And here is Milo Yiannopoulos on Tim Pool's show making claims about Charlie Kirk.
I'm always a couple of days behind watching on the show because I've got stuff going on. But somebody tweeted today that Candace said that she believed that they were about to get a divorce. I think he was gay, and I think he was gay. And
come on, you know that you do know that I've criticized. What? Like I'm sorry, Tim, but like, why would you even go there? Like to say something? No. The man's dead. You're calling now. You think he's gay? That's when people can tell the truth. I'm always a couple of days behind.
I'm really enjoying George Santos being the responsible actor here. He's got to toe that line.
Yeah.
Well, it's so funny how people got in trouble for making fun of Charlie Kirk's death for like 2 weeks, and then now the floodgates are open. Like, the fascists for like 2 weeks thought they were going to use the Charlie Kirk killing as their Hearst vessel, and I thought they might too. It's just completely fallen flat, and everybody's just making fun of him non-fucking stop. If you lost your job over Charlie Kirk, we really should do a GoFundMe for you, because that, ladies and gentlemen, is crazy.
Can't make any more enemies.
Like, do people remember that George Santos lied about so many things?
Yes. Didn't he steal from a veteran whose dog he was trying to get?
Stole from a dog charity.
Yeah, a dog charity. Yeah. This guy that wanted to help his sick dog. Anyway, yeah, but he don't go there.
Don't call him gay. That's the worst thing you can say about somebody.
Here is Laura Loomer.
The Republican Party is a bunch of guys calling each other gay.
Yep.
Here is Laura Loomer striking back. Marjorie Trader Green's intern and speechwriter, Milo Yiannopoulos, who spends a lot of his time living inside the Rome, Georgia home of Marjorie Taylor Greene, went on Timcast to say Charlie Kirk was about to divorce Erica Kirk before he died and that Charlie was gay. Milo also used the episode to say Candace cares more about Charlie than Erica Kirk cares about her own husband. Milo, who runs uses Marjorie Taylor Greene's social media and writes her speeches for her by his own admission, also claim that Charlie hasn't been buried and could still even be alive.
I didn't hear that one.
He claims that Charlie Kirk, I saw this, he claimed that Charlie Kirk has not been buried yet for whatever reason. I think he also implied that in that Instagram post that Erica Kirk did when she was saying, I love you.
The one that's saved on your phone?
That accidentally got saved on my phone? Yeah, that one. That wasn't Charlie Kirk's body.
You don't...
Because her hand was too large relative to his.
Might be time for another Candace Owens
Another anomaly.
I mean, look, I don't know what is true and what's not true anymore about anything. But getting back to...
So true. I think Candace Owens should investigate.
This Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens, and Tucker were all together this week at Tucker's Christmas party in Nashville, Tennessee. Oh, Tucker Carlson also had Milo on his show this week to talk about homosexuality. Now, the same week Tucker had Milo on to talk about homosexuality, Milo's now calling Charlie gay.
Capitalized.
Tucker is still set to be the keynote speaker for the upcoming TPUSA AmFest.
Well, Charlie would have wanted that. I mean, I've seen texts about that stuff.
Yes.
It appears that all of the attacks on Charlie Kirk and TPUSA were organized and plotted at Tucker's Christmas party this week. It doesn't sound like a fun party. Again, Marjorie Taylor Greene should be pressed on why she allows Milo, a foreign national who was fired for pro-pedophilia comments, to work for her and live with her. He is allegedly paid through Isaiah Wortman, who served as the campaign manager for Marjorie Taylor Greene, who now employs Marjorie Taylor Greene's daughter, Lauren, as I have previously reported.
Reported or tweeted?
Yeah, and reported. Well, she is a White House correspondent now. Nobody cares about, first of all, she hates Marjorie Taylor Greene. Laura Loomer does, obviously.
Because Laura Loomer is a Zionist spy for Israel. She tried to run against one of the biggest Zionists in the entire Democratic caucus, saying that she wasn't enough of a Zionist.
Because of her Zionism, and also because, she's standing with Trump on this.
Competing for daddy's attention.
No one cares that Milo Yiannopoulos is like working with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why does she think that this is some sort of dig? The people on the right are probably like, hell yeah. Marjorie Taylor Greene might... this is crazy to say. I don't fully believe it, but maybe with younger Republicans might have more credibility right now than Trump himself. I mean, with the Epstein stuff and with the fact that she's anti-Israel, if you're under 40 or under 35 and you're a Republican, who do you like more? Marjorie Taylor Greene?
An interesting poll to see, actually.
I think that it's probably more MTG. But this is hilarious. And the thing is that they're all closeted. Not all of them. I shouldn't say that. But many of them are just unable to come to terms with the fact that they are homosexual.
What are you saying holy fuck for? Why are you saying holy fuck and then adding me? What is that?
Or maybe on some sort of spectrum, as we all are, and they take it out on people, or they like overcompensate by constantly reaffirming these like hierarchies and roles that they're supposed to fulfill.
That's what it means to be a mighty man of valor.
Right.
In FUBAR, we wrote about that era's anti-gay Republicans. These gay Republicans, there was a couple that were like vehement homophobes. Larry Craig was not, I think, the most egregious. There was a guy named, I think it was Ed Schrock, who was vehement on the floor of the Congress. Vehemently, and then his Grindr profile showed up, or whatever it was at that time, a website, and I think he's no longer in Congress. But it's sort of interesting with people like Benny Johnson's age, for instance. And again, I have no information that he is gay.
You want to talk about the silver gains and its implications? Just wonder where your head is at. I honest to God think China is buying more precious metals. I mean, maybe that's just totally invented. But it's crazy how all these... that just, to me, makes me want to get out of the dollar. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see America recovering. It's not taking any of the steps that it would need. You know, it's like, it feels like your dollar savings are going to be fucking become wheelbarrow money. I'm becoming a gold bug in front of my very eyes because America cannot invest in anything that isn't a scam.
You know,
I've heard things.
I've only, you know, heard Milo Yiannopoulos, and who sounds like a credible narrator to this. But it's interesting because, like, you know, you see gay Republicans do okay in that space, like Dave Rubin does. Now, of course, he had some trouble when people found out that he was having a kid with his husband, or two kids for that matter. But one wonders, why Benny Johnson couldn't come out of the closet if he were gay. I mean, aside from the fact that, you know, does his reporting rely on his machismo so much?
I think that I'm not trying to psychoanalyze people too much, but I do think that there's a level of, like, you can have, so if you're on some sort of sexual spectrum and you still have some attraction to women, you can just deny and deny and deny those feelings until it becomes a big problem for you, basically.
That's why the term used in like AIDS prevention is men who have sex with men, because that self-definition is it's really easy for guys apparently to just say, I'm not actually gay. That doesn't apply to me, even though I'm, you know, regularly having sex with men.
I remember
100%,
Steven Crowder's ex-wife, you'll recall. She is a very Christian woman, and Steven Crowder also, I think, projects being very Christian. She once had a tweet that was saying that she believes a lot of men who promote their Christianity so much and their, you know, oppose his father are gay. And who knows who she was talking about. But I can imagine, like, you know, a situation where it's not necessarily society, maybe it's your family. Like if your father's very overbearing and like he was a wrestling coach or something like that, and was like, you know, cause you to like lift a lot of weights, and you got to get really big because you've got to project I'm like a man's man, like type of thing. I mean, I got a gun right here on my holster, you know, because that's very manly.
Exactly.
I could see how like you're running from something in your head. You know, that you're
and you and when you run from something like that, you do a lot of work to make it so that it's like as bulletproof as possible. So you try to project that onto other people, the standards that you are trying to tell yourself in your head over and over again that you have to stand by. Like, you know, there's every incentive if you're on some sort of spectrum and you aren't fully gay. Some people may be, but if you are bisexual or in some way or on the on a sexuality spectrum, to be heteronormative, and that is even more intense with men, and it's even more intense with right-wing men.
And also, you make a lot of content in drag and drop your nuts on every one of your employees.
Yes, the very heterosexual thing that Steven Crowder was doing, pulling out his balls with his male employees and placing it on them all the time.
Oh, were we talking about Steven Crowder?
No, I was just saying, like, hypothetically.
That would be an example
of how it pours
that
out.
type of behavior. I understand.
But now that we put it out there, I mean, that's a lot of major right-wing figures in media right now that have at least had rumors about being into men. You got, I mean, or just behavior that might indicate it. You've got Steven Crowder, you got Benny Johnson, you got
Mike Johnson.
You got.
You want to go on that side of things too.
Yeah, there's some others.
Yeah.
Disproportionate, I think, is the word.
There's a lot of closeted gay. I mean, it makes sense. Again, if you are trying to operate a group of people that are I mean, this is like the logic of covert action. Let's say you and I are trying to coordinate with each other an alliance, but I don't know how I can trust you, right? The logic of that would be for us to exchange mutually assured destruction over some sort of like illicit behavior. So it makes sense that a lot of these closeted gay men, they participate in gay sex with each other in the conservative movement. Being gay doesn't matter if you're a lefty, but if you're on the right, the fact that they're all gay, that is a secret they have over each other. So it almost kind of solidifies their alliance, right? Like they have each other's backs, literally.
Isn't a rape allegation? You're probably finding a closet.
Right, yeah. It's a rapist.
It's either or.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Well, we will keep.
This isn't on the sheet if you're looking for it.
No, well, I mean, we're out of time today, I think. There is tomorrow. It's only Monday, folks. We still have about 40 other of these type of clips that are just absolutely bat crap crazy. And we'll have to get to them tomorrow. I'll read a couple IMs and then we're gonzo. Big, beautiful Bill Clinton. More to come on and around Benny Johnson at the next TV USA. Gosh.
No.
Fig. I just click on one of these. I don't know what's going to be in there. Hey, folks.
One thing I wanted to show you guys is what the Epstein files said about Bernie Sanders. The Epstein emails, excuse me, said about Bernie Sanders.
Let's have a look at what the Epstein files say about Bernie Sanders. It's kind of crazy because this is an inside look into what the elites are saying about everything. There's really personal conversations that we would never have gotten to see otherwise. Important context is that Jeffrey Epstein was a known consultant for other rich guys to help them pay as little taxes as possible. The first mention is the Bezos Act. It's an acronym. Bad employers by zeroing out. Basically, if a large employer like Amazon that has huge profits is hiring people who rely on federal assistance, this act taxes the employers the amount employees receive in federal benefits. So it stops major corporations from relying on the government to subsidize their payroll. Interesting that the rich dudes in the Virgin Islands were clocking this. And he had a lot of emails back and forth with Larry Summers, who was an economic advisor to President Obama and largely credited for the more neoliberal, conservative economic policies. Obama ran as a populist, and people think that inner circle folks like Larry Summers are those who swayed him. And if you read Larry Summers' writings, that becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly. This email subject that he forwarded to Jeffrey is a tax loophole just for Jeffrey Epstein. And then there's a video of Bernie Sanders on the floor of the Senate saying this.
Buried in this legislation on page 503, section 14504, is a paragraph entitled, quote, modification to source rules involving possessions, end of quote. Now, what does that mean? It means that, as best we can understand, if you are a hedge fund manager who is a resident of the Virgin Islands, you will be able to get a major tax break on capital gains and a 90% reduction in tax liability on your income.
This is really interesting to me. They spoke about the practices within the DNC that were unfair to the Bernie Sanders campaign. This is something people in, progressive politics talk about a lot. You never really hear big figures in the media talking about this, in establishment media. So it's really interesting to me that they're talking about that whole ordeal in 2016 in their emails. And so, yeah, there were no emails directly between Bernie and them, but they did frequently talk about how Bernie Sanders was coming for their lifestyle. He lives rent-free in their heads. Let's have a look at what the Epstein files say.
Yeah. All right, chat. I'm going to call it there today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. China has announced they're going to be spending $100 million in humanitarian aid to Gaza. All right, everybody, stay safe. I'm going to send you guys, gals, non-binary pals over to... That's a fraction of the money the Gazans need, by the way. But I'm glad something is going. All right, everybody, stay safe. Solidarity forever. I'm sending you over to VO. Thanks for all the support, all the subs, all the eyes. Sorry we don't talk about streamer awards drama. I can't fake it, chat. I'm sorry, I can't fake it. I can't talk about that shit. That sucks. It's boring to me. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. I talked about China instead. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Take it easy. Solidarity forever. And socialism will win. Free Palestine.